48-year-old business owner, Greg Hardy, and his girlfriend, Jill Connor, are suing their neighbors, loan officer Tianatra Patrice Manley and her daughter, 15-year-old Whitney, for car repair bills and damage to a bicycle.
Yeah, this is case number 575 on the calendar, the matter of Connor Hardy versus Manley. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
According to your complaint, Mr. Hardy, there came a time several months ago when your girlfriend discovered that her car had been hit. Nobody left any information as to the perpetrator of that hit and run, but you went on a sleuthing expedition in your neighborhood, and you came up with the defendant's car, and you found that there was damage to her car, same location, same color paint as happened to be on your car. When confronted, the defendant first acknowledged, then denied that someone else, I think you, were driving the car, but that wasn't their responsibility because although their car had been in an accident, you hit a metal garbage can. A metal garbage can, not her car. Later, which is the second part of your complaint, you claimed that while acting very innocently, the defendant ran over you while you were on your bicycle, causing you medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, etc., etc. So you want the damage to your car, you want all the aggravation medical bills as a result of being hit by the defendant with her car. When was your car hit?
December 23rd. I walked out of the house and noticed that my car had been sideswiped on the front swale.
You have a picture of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How far do you live from each other?
I think we have about 5 or 6 homes between us.
How long have you lived there?
6 years.
And you?
5.
Never had any problem with each other before?
No.
Nasty. Mm-hmm. What kind of paint was on your car? Your paint and what other paint?
And a dark green paint.
Another dark green. Okay. What made you think, Mr. Hardy, that it was Miss Manley's car that caused the damage?
Well, on Christmas Eve, I took a walk down the street. We live on a dead-end street, so I knew if there was somebody on the street that damaged the car, there was a good possibility the car would be there. I walked down the street and saw the damaged vehicle in her carport. I knocked on her door.
Where was it damaged?
It is damaged on the front passenger side. We have the pictures.
It's on the side of the car.
Jill's car is parked on the swale with traffic. Her car was sideswiped on the driver's side, which means if a car was going down the street, most likely it would be on the passenger side damage.
What kind of car do you have?
A Lexus. I have my photos as well.
Can I see your car?
Yeah. I only have damage, a dent, 2 dents in the front side of my car. She has a swipe, and my car hit a metal dumpster at McDonald's.
Well, you don't know that. You weren't driving the car.
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
They told you that that's what happened?
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Who was driving the car?
My Uncle Patrick.
You were with Patrick?
Yes.
Had you borrowed the car?
Yes.
When?
My mom had given it to us a couple days before Christmas to go to McDonald's because she was cooking.
So on the same date that Miss Connor's car was damaged?
I'm not positive.
Well, that's what it is. A couple of days before Christmas. Christmas comes the same time every year.
Thursday night.
That's December 25th.
It was at nighttime I gave him the car.
She said a couple of days before Christmas, which would have been the time that this happened. Whitney, when you came home, did you immediately tell your mother that you had been in an accident?
No, I didn't.
Did your uncle?
No, he didn't.
Why not?
Because we were afraid that we wouldn't get our Christmas gift since it was right before Christmas. And we didn't want to upset her.
So how did you hide the car?
Well, at the time, my mom was driving my grandmother's new Dodge Ram truck. So the car is parked in the carport, and she doesn't usually have no reason to go on the side of the house, and she hasn't seen it.
So you concealed the fact that you were in this accident. Who owned the dumpster?
McDonald's.
Did you tell them that you hit their dumpster?
No, ma'am.
And how did that happen that the car hit the dumpster?
Well, as we were driving to the drive-in, we were arguing over the radio station, and he was like slapping my hand away from the radio station so I wouldn't change it. And I grabbed the wheel, and the car kind of swerved and hit the dumpster.
Now, let's leave that for a moment. When you approached Miss Manley, what did she say?
I knocked at the front door. I asked her, had her car been in an accident with my car on the street? She told me she had not driven the car in 4 days. I knew nothing about it. I asked her to come outside and look at her car.
Was she surprised?
Oh, she was very surprised to see the damage on her car. Called Whitney to the carport door. She asked Whitney if Whitney had driven the vehicle. Whitney said yes, she had driven the vehicle.
That's not true.
Shh, don't.
That's not true.
Shh, don't speak.
Sorry.
And that she had sideswiped my girlfriend's car on her way to
That is not
McDonald's.
true.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's
You're
not
just-
true. Okay.
What do you think? I don't hear? I heard what you said, and I told you to be quiet. You're going to have an opportunity to respond to him. Go ahead.
Whitney said yes, she had driven the car. She had hit Jill's car on the way to McDonald's, stated that she was putting on her seatbelt at the time of the accident, and had just swerved over and rubbed the car and was afraid to tell anybody.
Whitney doesn't even know how to drive.
Listen to me. It's my job to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I told her that I would like to call the police. Patrice said this is not a good idea to call the police because Whitney is not covered by her auto insurance, and she would be more than happy to just pay for the damages if I brought her an estimate. She wrote down her name and phone number.
Let me see it, please.
I left that on the door.
Listen to me. When it's your turn, you will speak.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is her handwriting.
Yes, ma'am.
And you wrote down your name and phone number.
Yes.
And put it on his door.
Yes.
For what reason?
Because I had to talk with her on what happened because she never said anything when he came. He asked her, did she know about, I asked, did she know about an accident to her car? Whitney said no. Okay, after that point, she didn't say anything else. So therefore, while he was there, if I was going to write down all that information, I would have given him my insurance and other
No, that's not true, madam.
Why?
You usually don't get an opportunity for me to answer your questions, but I'm going to do it for you because you seem to be speaking out of turn. And maybe if I explain to you why you would give him your phone number instead of your insurance information, you will understand. Because what he says is that your daughter said, yes, she drove the car, she had an accident, which sounds right to me, that you said, don't call the police because my insurance isn't going to cover her because she's only 15. Give me an estimate and we'll pay for it. And you gave him your phone number. That's a logical explanation. Now, say nothing, because I've answered you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
As I went to the car, he started calling me a black, all these words. He kicked the car door, and he said I messed with the wrong cracker.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Greg Hardy and his girlfriend Jill Connor say their neighbor, 15-year-old Whitney Manley, sideswiped their car. The couple also claims Whitney's mother, Patrice Manley, ran over Greg's bicycle.
You gave her the estimate, and what happened?
She said that the estimate is too much and that she wasn't going to pay for it, and she told me do what I have to do, and that was it.
Did she come to your house with an estimate?
Yes, she came to my house.
Right.
She said she knew it was me. Sorry.
That's all. There would have been no reason for you to go to her house with an estimate unless she had said to you, bring me an estimate. Right?
Right.
If her daughter had denied hitting your car and having an uncle hit some trash bin on the same day, there would have been no reason for you, unless you're psychotic, to bring her an estimate. Right?
Right.
Now let us hop over to what you did later on the bike.
Sunday, we believe January 9th, she brought the estimate down to Patrice. Patrice said she was not going to pay for it. It was too much money. Do what we have to do. We called the police officers back down because we have a hit-and-run report from the first incident.
I'd like to see it, please.
The officer went down there, spoke with Patrice, stated that since she agreed to pay for it...
Don't tell me what the officer said.
That's right.
Okay.
No, that's hearsay. I
Okay.
just want to see whether the report was made on the 23rd.
When they went to McDonald's, it was on the 23rd that evening.
Let me explain something to you, madam. I don't believe your daughter. I don't believe your daughter didn't drive the car and hit Jill's car. I believe that that's exactly what she did. And I believe that she acknowledged that the day that he... listen to me. I believe she acknowledged that to him.
She did.
And I believe the story that she's telling me now with hitting a dumpster in a McDonald's parking lot is a whole lot of who shot John. Because coincidences sometimes happen in this world. But if there's a more logical basis for what happened, I usually go with the logic rather than the serendipity. Let's move on to the bicycle, sir.
We needed to have our license tag number because we reported to Jill's insurance agency. They needed to have the license tag or some information of Patrice to do a follow-up case. Patrice's car disappears for a length of time. I go for a bike ride on January 20th, the morning.
God.
I see Patrice parking in
Across the
a
street.
field adjacent to her house.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear an echo.
Okay.
She's parked in a field, catty corner to her home. I notice that she is running across the street to her door. I pedal down the road. I stop in the street. I said, Patrice, are you not paying for Jill's damages to the car? And Patrice stated, no, she will not pay for the damages.
Are those the words that we used?
At that time, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Then I went over to her car, which was in the field, called Jill at work.
Who owns the field?
It's Broward County public property.
Okay.
Went to the car, called Jill and gave her the auto tag. Patrice was coming back to her car. Then we had a little bit of an altercation.
Was the damage still on the car?
Yes.
Tell me about the altercation.
Basically, we argued about who's going to pay for the car and why
What
she's
did you
denying.
say to her, and what did she say to you?
I stated that I can't believe she's not paying for the car. To do such damage while living in the same neighborhood is ridiculous to me. Why would a neighbor act like this? And I told her she was a liar, and she got into her car.
What did she say to you?
I don't remember her exact words, Your Honor.
Did you call her any
Nothing.
names?
I called her a liar.
Other than that?
I called her a B word.
Well, that's what I'm
Couple.
asking you.
Yes.
Well, you know, when I ask you what the altercation was, and if what you're going to give me is oatmeal, then I'm not going to believe you.
Well,
Do you understand?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Greg Hardy and his girlfriend say their neighbor, 15-year-old Whitney Manley, sideswiped their car. Greg says on a separate occasion, Whitney's mother, Patrice Manley, ran over his bicycle.
Did she say anything to you?
She made comments back to me. I don't really know what she said, to be honest.
Do you remember what you said to him?
When I came out from the house, he was on the back of the car on the phone. He had his dog with him, a bulldog this big, while he was on the bike. As he was talking, I did not say anything. As I went to the car, he started calling me a black, all these words. And I didn't say anything to him because I didn't get upset. I just didn't say nothing. I got in the car and I rolled down the window. He came next on the driver's side. He kicked the car door and he said, I messed with the wrong cracker. I then asked him, what is a cracker? He said, I'm going to get you. He proceeded with the dog, he hopped on the bike, and he proceeded to the street. As I'm driving off, he's in front of my car, would not let me pass. I went around him to not hit him or anything. I went around him. As I went around him, I don't know if the dog stopped or the bike stopped, whatever stopped, but his wheel was under my car because he was still trying to get in front of my car. And then as soon as that happened, when my back tire hit his back tire, he fell off the bike, and I stopped right there. I didn't move, left it as is. He said, I got you now. I got you now. So I didn't say anything. I said, no, I got a good Negro lawyer, is what I told him. So he then picked up the phone and called the police. I, as well, called the police. 2 police came out to the scene, as well as the paramedics.
Can I see the police report on that, please?
Yes. On the last page is...
Shh. Were you taken by ambulance from the scene?
Yes, I was.
At his request.
Shh. What difference does that make?
Because there was nothing wrong with them.
Well, how do I know that? I'd like to see the medical report. Is this your injury on your ankle?
Yes.
Looks like it got caught in the spokes of the bicycle.
The front crankshaft, yes.
So now I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hardy. Why did you pull out your bicycle at the same time that she was pulling out her car?
I was on the driver's side door when we were arguing.
Yes.
And then she had not yet started the car, or maybe she had just started the car. I have to go up the street. It's a dead-end road. I have to go forward. We both have to go forward.
Well, I understand that, but
I
you
go
both...
first.
Listen to me,
Okay.
my friend. You don't have to go forward at the same time. You've just had an altercation with a woman who is in a car that weighs 3,000 pounds. It would seem to me prudent to hang back in the field that is the property of Broward County, play with your dog for 15 minutes, while Miss Manley leaves. You've already gotten the information that you wanted, so there's no need to have any further interaction with her. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct.
Unless you wanted to bug her, which you might be able to do if you drove in front of her car with your dog at your side, so she would be going at 5 miles an hour instead of 25 miles an hour until she got to a place where she could turn off. Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility.
Right. So you could have avoided this whole part of the conflict if you just stayed back and played with, what's your dog's name?
Indy.
Indy, in the field for a couple of minutes. Why did you do that?
Well, I didn't expect her to run me over in a car, and I was going to the bike path, which is just right past the bushes, so I can get onto the next street. I was already in motion first. I did not expect her to hit me with the car. She came up from behind me after I was already riding down the street.
Well, Mr. Hardy, I don't buy it.
Okay.
The alternative was for her to stop her car and just wait for you to get to where you wanted to go. You could have done that, right? Said, listen, this guy is behaving like a big baby, and he's just trying to get my goat, and I'm going to turn off my car and wait 5 minutes for him to disappear. But you both got a little bit hot under the collar, and your bicycle went over, and the dog, according to you, pulled you over, and that's how you got hurt.
No, the dog pulled me to the right. The police officer stated that my bicycle was left in the middle of the street, and that is why they didn't deem her a ticket on the accident.
They sure didn't, according to the police officers. According to the police officer's report, police officer says, based upon the position...
Two police officers. It was two.
What word didn't you understand? Don't talk. It's not a tea party. Do I give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story?
But I didn't finish.
You may not have finished, madam, but I'm getting the information that I need. And so far, with regard to this aspect, you don't seem to be losing. With regard to whether your daughter hit Jill's car, you lost there. Because your daughter drove your car, didn't tell you, and hit her car. And if you believe her that she didn't do it, that's your problem. So you're going to pay for the damage to Jill's car. But Mr. Hardy's going to pay for his own stupidity and not waiting in the field with his dog until you took off. Because I think what he was trying to do was just annoy you. You understand that, Mr. Hardy?
Well, I don't understand.
You understand. I'm glad you understand. You may not agree with me. That's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not here. It's not American Idol. It's not a popularity contest. I listen to what, to me, is common sense. It is not common sense that your girlfriend's car was damaged on the same date as she had control of her mother's car. Her mother's car came up dented with a baloney story about hitting something in McDonald's that they didn't report to McDonald's. That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense that you just happened to get in motion first and felt as if you had to leave the property first while this 3,000-pound car is following you. That doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. Let me see an estimate for your car, Jill. Is your car fixed yet? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,173. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You can step out. Now, this is case number 597 on the calendar in the matter of Willis versus Banchler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Willis, you've been taking care of Miss Banchler's daughter for years.
Yes.
She first came to live with you because you were married to her father?
Yes.
He's in prison?
No, he's just not around at all.
Left.
Gone.
And you have how many children with him?
None.
You have children of your own?
I do, right.
But he brought this child into your home?
Right.
When?
August 28th of 2000.
How old is she?
She's 11. She'll be 12 in June.
And you've been taking care of her ever since?
Solely.
When did your husband leave?
In 2002.
Where were you?
In Washington State.
What were you doing there?
I live there.
What you want, Miss Willis, is you want support for this little girl from her mother because you've been taking care of her, according to you, with no support from her mother.
None.
Ball's in your court, madam. I'd like to hear you.
I have evidence here of money order receipts as well as a letter that I wrote. I have package receipts that I've mailed packages to
I'm not
her.
interested in packages.
Okay.
Forget packages. Packages are not support. Okay. How much support have you sent for your daughter since 2002?
There's one for $150 here.
Give me just a second. I have to do this. 150. Go ahead.
There's one here for $30.
$30.
One for $100. One for $150. And one for $50.
Who were those money orders made out to?
They were made out to her father. Only one of them was made out to Oki.
She's never made one out to me.
What was the date of the last one?
September 8th, 2003.
Okay, since September 8th, 2003, you have sent no support for your daughter.
Not cash.
Well, that's all I'm interested in. It's cash. How do you support yourself? With
Work.
packages?
No.
Your boss at the end of the week give you packages?
No.
Well, at the end of the week, your boss gives you money.
Right.
Well, that's support. That's what people barter in this country. You give them dollars, and they give you bagels and lox and milk and chopped meat and chicken. You know, that's how we survive in this country. How did you expect your children to survive since September of 2003?
I felt like that was her father's responsibility.
Wrong.
So I sent her to him. He said that he would take care of her, and obviously he did not do that.
Well, when did you find out that he split?
I found out when Judge Judy called me.
You didn't know that before?
No.
Well, that's interesting. So the last contact you had with your child was over 2.5 years ago. Is that right?
Yes.
Why is that? Did you move?
No. I just moved in September. Before that, I stayed in the same house. She was out here last summer also, and I let her at her mother's house, and I let my daughter call over there to speak with her grandmother. My daughter speak with her grandmother to tell her happy birthday. She answered the phone. My daughter said, "Mommy, like, what are you doing out here?" She didn't even speak. You know, she passed the phone to her mother instead of talking to her daughter. I called back the next morning to speak with her. Her mother told me she already left back for Washington.
Listen to me. Since Miss Willis has been caring for your daughter, you provided $480. That amounts to 32 cents a day. Do you think that's enough?
No, it isn't.
What kind of a job do you have?
I'm a custodial.
How much do you earn a week?
$400.
Here you have a child that you expect to exist on 30 cents a day. It's not her responsibility to support your child.
She took the responsibility.
No, she didn't. She didn't adopt your child.
At any point, she could have sent my daughter back to me at any point.
That is the most ridiculous statement that I've ever heard. If you chose to have a baby and not be a mother, that's your prerogative. If you were smart enough to say, listen, I'm not the maternal type. I'm not good at raising a child. You probably can do it better. I'm going to let you do it because I can't, or I'm not interested in doing it. That's honest. But don't tell me that you've got this burning maternal instinct in your stomach and all she had to do was call you and you would have taken your daughter. Because anybody who is a parent, they wake up in the morning and they go into the nursery and they say, gee, my kid's not here. You know? They don't wait 2.5 years.
I didn't wait 2.5 years. I've tried on multiple occasions to call them. They told me that I cannot call or send her any more packages.
Listen to me,
That's what
my
her
friend.
father
Listen
said.
to me very carefully. At this point, Miss Willis is a legal stranger to your child. At any time, you could have petitioned the court for immediate custody of your daughter. I doubt that you can do it now. I would think that any judge that would give you custody of your child at this point had to be missing one in his six-pack. However, there was a time immediately after the child left your custody when you could have done that. So you can relinquish custody of your child to somebody else, but when you relinquish custody of your child to a stranger, you pay support. And what Miss Willis is asking for, as far as I'm concerned, is a minimal amount of retroactive support for the child in the time that she supported the child. What she's asking for is $5,000 over the course of 4 years. It's a little more than $1,000 a year. Figure it out. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had numerous opportunities to get her daughter back.
I've been denied the opportunity to do it. Not necessarily by the plaintiff, but by her father.
But she's my daughter. I couldn't imagine her even going back with her.
I don't accept the fact that I'm going to have a custody issue with her. She is my daughter.
I will fight to the end to make sure she stays with me forever.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Luis Castillo. Step forward, please.
Douglas Jones is suing his cousin, bus driver Dwight Lewis, and girlfriend Mary Ellen Castillo for damages to his home as the result of a fight. Douglas says Mary Ellen and his girlfriend went toe-to-toe.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Lewis is your cousin, according to your complaint, and this lady with him is his girlfriend.
That's correct.
At some time, for reasons that I'm sure you will explain to me, you allowed Mr. Lewis, his girlfriend, and her 3 children to move into your home. Home that you shared with your girlfriend.
That's correct.
And any other children?
Yes, 2 boys.
Whose children are those?
Ours.
The 2 women, for some reason, did not get along.
Right.
And there was an altercation that became physical. And it is your claim that this altercation that became physical resulted in Miss Castillo taking a plate and throwing it against your sliding glass doors, causing the door to break. You want her to pay $600 for the glass door.
Which the glass door that's been chipped, the kitchen window, she broke also.
Ms. Castillo says you're lucky she's not suing you and your girlfriend because she was injured during that altercation. An altercation that was started by your girlfriend.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She starts going, oink, oink, you a pig, oink, oink. And she spit in my face and ran.
So what did you do?
I snatched her up when she was running. And after we were on the...
Lewis and his girlfriend, Mary Ellen Castillo, owe for damage to his house. Douglas says the damage occurred during a fight between Mary Ellen and his girlfriend, Laminda.
Were you present during the altercation?
I know, I was in a room next to the kitchen.
Step up here. What's your name?
Laminda?
Laminda, you have a last name?
Malik.
When did they move in with you?
They moved in June of '04, and the fight took place at August...
It was right after your back surgery.
Right, right.
August of 31st of '04?
Correct.
What started the fight?
We were in the kitchen, and the night before we had been fighting the whole night. My dad was just going to California, so he had stopped by, and she was still calling me names the next morning. It was over a washer and just things that she was like nitpicking on, you know, if I did the dishes or, you know, putting dishes to each side of the sink. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was little kid fighting, but she was still doing it the next day. When my dad came over, she stood over in the carport, and she starts like folding her arms and just staring at me, and I'm trying not to look over at her, and she starts going, oink, 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 you a pig, oink, oink.
That's the day before.
Yeah, later on, we were cooking, and she spit in my face and ran. And at the time, she couldn't really talk because she had sores in her mouth. And so, I don't know, to me, that was assault. You know, that was assault to me. That was it. I had it, and I couldn't take it no more. And
so what did you do?
I snatched her up when she was running.
What does that mean, you snatched her up?
By her hair.
So you grabbed her by the hair?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
And I threw her on the ground, and we were fighting. Then her husband jumped in and went to go pull me off.
And that's when I heard the commotion.
That's when he heard the commotion.
And I just had a back operation a couple of days before that.
I'm sorry about that. You feeling better?
A little bit.
Good. Can we get back to the story, please? All right. So now he comes in to try to pull you off. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And when he started to pull me off, I felt like I was being, like it was both of them. She was still getting her, kicking me and stuff, and I'd been threatened by her the whole time.
Well, he's trying to pull you off, so evidently you're on top.
No, pull us apart, actually, because at the time we were both still wrestling on the ground, and I had been told many times, no, don't mess with Mary Ellen, you know, that she was going to whip my...
Okay.
Sorry.
Where are all the children when this is going on?
They were scattered all over the house. Some were playing out in the yard, and some were in the living room. The
children didn't come in to hear what all the commotion was?
Yeah, a couple of them came to the kitchen door after the fight had broken up. See, they've been nitpicking at each other for a while, especially Mary Ellen, because it seemed like she wanted to be the alpha female, and you don't do that when you're invited to somebody's house. I asked my cousin and them to come up here because Mary Ellen had got kicked out of his daughter's house in Georgia, where they moved into another house, and they said they had black mold, and the mold was killing them. So I said, well, come on up and, you know, stay with me. You got 3 kids, so get them in school up here and come up here. I didn't expect her to come over and take over.
I wouldn't try to take over from her.
Evidently, she tried.
I want to know how the window got broken.
After the fight went on, I think Mary Ellen was very upset about getting beat because she was promoted. She was.
Come on.
My cousin was promoting her as, you know, this really good fighter. She beat up 2 cops in California and all this kind of stuff. And she was upset getting beat, so she took it out on my house. You know,
Did you see her throw the plate?
No, I heard the plate. I saw her hitting the door with the plate, though, because once I heard the kitchen window break, I was on the phone with my brother, Wolfat Jones, and I came in. She was at the sliding glass door, banging it, but she had broke a plate on the sliding glass door already.
Why were you hitting the sliding glass door with the plate?
It wasn't broken at all.
Why were you hitting it with the plate?
She attacked me when there was blood all over the floor, and she gave me a scar right here, and I have 4 stitches. I have 2 cuts, 4 stitches.
Sounds like you got the better of the bargain.
And my window still isn't fixed. I have plastic on it. You know, in Seattle it rains a lot, and it ran up a lot of bills because I'm raising my 2 boys. I'm out on L&I right now, so I don't have a lot of money to fix the window. Labor in the industry. I got hurt at work. I work in a prison. So I couldn't get it fixed. They said that they were going to fix it.
When did they say they were going to fix it?
The next day afterwards, he said, well, let's go to Lowe's and find another window. And I said, no.
Did you say that, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So why didn't you fix it?
He didn't want a Lowe's window. He wanted it professionally done, which would have cost a lot, and we didn't have the money at the time.
The reason why I didn't want him to fix my window, Your Honor, he was trying to, he changed my toilet seat with a crowbar.
Let me see the estimate on the window. As long as Mr. Lewis agreed to fix it, then he's got to fix it.
Well, Your Honor, he tried to fix my toilet bowl and cracked it. I don't want him to...
No, he's not coming back to fix it now.
Yeah, no, I don't want him to fix it anyway. Okay. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Do you have a picture of the patio door?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I took it with a camera phone, so you can still see it good, though.
Quite frankly, what distresses me more than anything else is that you have 5 children there who are witnessing these 2 women in a mud fight on the kitchen floor. And according to your cousin, at least, you seem to think that it's wonderful that she's a good fighter.
He always did. He always did.
You've heard the fictionalized account. What I will tell you what truly happened.
Go ahead, I'm willing to listen.
when we left Georgia, we left Marietta because the house we were in had too much mold in it.
Tell me about your daughter.
Mary Ellen and the children wanted to go to Washington, to Uncle Dougie's house. So we went up there. He had told us, he had assured us beforehand that Laminda was not living there. He had kicked her out a year before because they weren't getting along.
Where were the children? His children living?
His children were there.
But not their mother?
No. He had hired a nanny for a while.
Is that right so far, sir?
That's correct.
Okay.
He had hired a nanny. She came over and beat up the nanny one day. That's why she had a warrant. That's why after she had assaulted Mary Ellen, she had to split. That's why once we broke them apart in the kitchen during the fight, he was trying to get her out of the place before the police arrived.
Mr. Lewis, when you arrived there, was she there?
No, she was not. She has her own place in
When
Bremerton.
did she come back?
When he needed to have his back operation. His oldest son has diabetes. He did not trust either of us to give him his medication. We've never done it.
But she had.
So she had. They had been together since the kids were small until he got rid of her. Well, when she came back in, she was back in her house. She was pushing her around. She even tried to push me around, telling me to get out of my cousin's room.
Which was my room at the time?
No, you slept in the extra bedroom. He would let you come in there once in a while.
Okay.
For whatever.
Becoming clear to me, why did you eject her from the house?
She's been gone for at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Well, she liked going out a lot, you know. And
she liked to party.
Exactly, yeah.
And that wasn't good for your children?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
There's a reason why you tell the mother of your children she can't live in your house anymore.
Right.
I mean, I don't have to go into all the details.
We actually parted our own ways.
There's a reason you tell the mother of your children that she can't live in your house anymore and she's leaving without her children.
I didn't leave without my children,
Right?
Your Honor.
Right.
I didn't leave without my children. I had my children with me when I left them. I stayed in the shelter with my kids, Your Honor, so...
Somehow the children got back with their father.
Yeah, they did, because I was a housewife with nothing to stand on when I left him.
You have to pay for the window and the door. If you're still together, she looks confused. You understand that you understand that you have to pay for the window and the door.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
said you were going to pay for it. If she wants to sue her for her medical bills, she certainly is entitled to do that. At some other date, if you had filed a counterclaim with regard to her medical bills or injuries, I would have at least entertained that today, but you had no counterclaim. You have to pay for the window and the door. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 451 on the calendar in the matter of Shields versus Germany. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Shields, you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend, and you lived together for how long?
We never actually lived together. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend.
Did you live together?
When we dated, we stayed together. As far as I was concerned, we was together and staying together.
According to your complaint, last summer you were living together.
We didn't actually live together. He has his own residence and I have my residence, but we weren't couple.
Well, it's interesting. You said that he came home last summer, I think sometime in July. He came home in the morning because he had been out all night and you refused to let him in the house.
Okay.
Is that what you told me? Let me see.
I can explain.
You know, I'm getting older. Maybe I misread what you said. You said on July 1st, 2004, Byron, that would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Came home after being out all night. He didn't have a key to get into the house and started banging in the door. I refused to allow him back into the home since he refused to stop continually disrespecting our relationship. Well, that sounds to me like he was coming home.
Actually, he had already been told not to come back around. We had already had a falling out, a breaking up. I asked him not to return anymore. I told him that, you know, I didn't want to be bothered because of the things he had been doing in the relationship as far as, you know, staying out, other women, different things of that nature. And so I had already called it quits.
So that's in July, and you say that when he came home in July, he assaulted you. So tell me what happened.
He arrived at the house. It was early morning. Him and his friend had pulled up from somewhere, and he was knocking on the door, sitting through the door, opened the door, you know, that he wanted to talk. And I explained to him that, you know, there was no need for him to be there because I wasn't going to open the door and I wasn't going to talk to him. So he needed to leave. He got irate and started, you know, pushing on the screen door, you know, yanking at things, just out of control. And so, you know, I continued to let him know that the door wasn't coming open. He needed to leave or I was going to call the police. So he ran around to the side of the house and he got the garage door open. He kicked it in. He came into the garage. There's another door that allows you to come into the house. He must have got a hold of something in the garage and pried.
Whatever, he got into the house.
No, he didn't get into the house that way.
Did he get into the house some way? I want him in the house already.
Yes, ma'am, he came.
You know, I have other things to do today.
Okay, I'm sorry. He came around the front
and he yanked the screen door open. He kicked the front door and he came in and he assaulted me.
Well, tell me what happened when he kicked the door in.
When he kicked the door in, he started grabbing at me and started fighting me, and he punched me in my mouth.
He hit you in the face?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And then what happened?
I had already called the police, was bleeding. Police got there. He told the story that I hit him with a glass. So therefore, they said that, you know, if it's a dispute between both of you guys are saying that you each assaulted each other so you both could go to jail. I wasn't really prepared to go to jail. I mean, I wanted him to leave. And at that time, I just asked them to make him leave. And they did. My mother was going to escort me to the hospital up the street, and they made sure that the situation was calm down.
So you went to the hospital. What happened at the hospital?
Went to the hospital, was there for a little bit. They got me back and started to, you know, stitch up my lip and everything.
How many stitches did you have?
I got 6 stitches.
You have a bill from the hospital?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Let me just give her doctor bills and everything.
Now, after that date on July 1st, when was the next time you saw Byron?
Well, he continued to, you know, come around and continued to knock on the door and make little threats and different things like that. But the next actual event where I did actually have to file charges again was January the 4th this year.
And what happened?
I do have videotape. He came over again, banging, ranting and raving. He kicked the front door in that time, which I have videotape of that. And he left. I called the police, made another...
He's not the father of that baby, is he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's not like...
This is just videotape of today, January 4th, 2005, where he's been kicking at my door. He's continuing to destroy the door that he's already destroyed numerous times. Byron, Germany. Black, 38, about 180-some pounds. So he drove off, just kicked the door, just kicked it all apart. And he kicked my window, trying to kick my window out, but he kicked the screen, broke the screen door. He couldn't get in the door, he just tried to kick it, just keep destroying the property. Just keep destroying it.
When was the last time you had sexual relations with the defendant?
Not since the first incident. We haven't really been communicating.
You mean not since July 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you told me before you started that you had already told him not to come around. Was that before or after you became pregnant?
I guess it was around about that time. It was all pretty close together, you know. Things are just spinning out of hand at that time.
Yeah, and I was there the day before that.
Oh, yeah, I know you were. And then you took off and you stayed out all night.
We went to the casino.
So?
When we go to the casino, your phone doesn't work in there. And apparently, I guess she was trying to call me and she didn't get through.
Well, when did you tell her that?
Upset.
Shh, listen to me.
In the casino, 24 hours.
Am I speaking to you? When did you tell your girlfriend that you were going to be out all night and you wouldn't be coming home?
I didn't think I had to report to her. She knew I was with him and we were going to go do a couple things.
You picked him, my friend.
Yeah.
That same thing I tell him?
And it's a pattern.
Just a second. Do you and I have to have a...
Okay.
Ask him to come up here, would you, please?
Step up.
Right here. I run this show. Do you understand? You don't speak until I speak to you. If I ask to speak to you, you'll stand up there, you'll tell me your name, you'll answer questions that I ask you. Other than that, I don't want to hear from you. We understand each other?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Perfect.
Yana, when she goes places, she don't call me and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I mean, she does it, and when she gets back...
Well, let me ask you this question, Sir Lancelot. How would you feel if she went out with her friends, or with whomever, and stayed out until 8 o'clock in the morning, didn't call you, and you were home all night waiting for her to come home?
I didn't stay after 8 o'clock.
I'm asking you a question. This is my story. I'm allowed to make up the facts in my story. How would you feel if your girlfriend, who you were expecting to come home, stayed out all night and traipsed in at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning? How would you feel?
I mean, I'll probably be a little upset, but I mean...
Ooh! You'd probably be a little upset, Byron.
I wouldn't double lock the doors and block your phone numbers out from the phone so you can't call or get in.
Well, that should have told you something, my dear. She didn't want to hear from you. She didn't want to see you. She was really annoyed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your friend says, what am I going to be friendly with him for? He's an idiot.
Right.
See? You knew you'd come in handy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Regina Shields says ex-boyfriend Byron Germany kicked in her front door and split her lip. Byron claims Regina injured herself when she swung a cup at him.
Byron, you can't give her a fat lip, my dear.
I didn't hit her on the lip. She hit me with a cup, and then on a moment...
Where did she hit you with a cup?
On my elbow.
What bone did she break?
She didn't break no, she swole my elbow out to there. Oh. But when, like, the police took forever getting there, but when the police did come there, I told them I wasn't trying to press no charges.
Well, how did her lip get split?
Well, her lip got split when she was swinging the cup. She hit her own self with the cup. And I was pushing her back, and I think when I hit her hand, it hit back and hit her lip. I know it sounds wild, but that's what happened.
It's possible. And it all wouldn't have happened if you hadn't kicked in the door.
I didn't kick in the door, I pushed it open.
Pushed it in, kicked it, shh. Pushed it, kicked it. It all wouldn't have happened if you just went home, let her cool off, go back to the casino, lose another couple of bucks. You could have done a whole bunch of things instead of pushing in the door.
When she gets angry like that, she stay like that for some days.
Then what you do is you stay away for a few days.
But I had something in the house I need to get. And I was
what?
I had some money in there. I wanted to get my money, and then I was going to go and let her do her routine where she'd be hot for a week or two.
Now, what about this video that I just saw of you driving back and forth and then leaving the house?
I wasn't driving back and forth. I was backing out.
Okay, you were backing out. Why were you there?
It's my house. It's my place.
How long has it been since you lived there?
I mean,
Byron! How long has it been since you lived there?
I'm with her 24/7 there. I'm just off and on.
I'm talking about January.
That was, I think that was July on the video. What's the date on that?
January 4th.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, because I was back. I forgot. So many incidents. You don't understand, y'all. There's so many incidents, I can't remember it.
What were you doing there?
I think that day, I think I didn't answer my phone. I remember right. And I was trying to call, and she put me on the block and other stuff. And then when you pull up to the door, we got a little surveillance, and she likes to talk through the camera to you. And it irritates you because you're standing there and can't get in your own place.
I got a restraining order.
I see it.
Yeah. Here's the protection order. That was for what I had to fight at that time.
That restraining order is dismissed.
That was from the first incident.
This one is dated the 4th of January, 2005. It was filed.
What, is that the restraining order?
That's the complaint.
The complaint, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't want you around anymore, Byron.
I mean, I don't have no problem with it. Like I said, my lease is up.
When was the last time he lived there?
It's been before the first incident.
Before July?
Yes.
Okay, and he hasn't been living there since July?
Yeah, I've been there off and on. I've been there.
What do you mean off and on you've been there?
I'll come, she'll get mad, and I'll go.
I mean, I don't have no problem. Byron, really, unless you want to spend a lot of time in jail, you should stay away from her.
I'm not trying to spend no time in jail.
What I'm telling you is I'm giving you the best possible advice, Byron. If you don't want to spend a lot of time in jail, you're going to stay away from her because once you've had a history of domestic violence, eventually a judge is going to get fed up with you and say, Byron, you don't seem to get it. And maybe you'll get it if you do 60 days.
But I've never been charged with, I've never been charged, but everything's been dismissed.
What I'm telling you, Byron, is she doesn't want to see you anymore.
Then she should stop calling me and telling me, what are you doing? You ain't coming by here.
You have proof that she does that?
You're going to ask her, but I know she's not going to tell you the truth.
Right.
She just gets in those moods. Like I said, if I stay out all night, or if I don't answer my phone, or if she thinks she hears women in the background, she's going to go off and she's going to do what she does now. And that's the only reason why the doors end up like that. But as far as that fat lip, I never put my hands on her. She did it with herself with the cup.
You did. You put your hands on her. I'm not saying that you hit her. I'm not saying that with all this scuffling, that maybe the cup hit her lip. That's possible. But for the fact that you kicked in the door or pushed in the door, it wouldn't have happened.
I understand that. One time before, she's got that little bump right there. She had a hammer, hit me with a hammer, swinging a hammer at me. And when I pushed her back, she bumped her head with the hammer.
He's extremely violent. Extremely violent.
Oh, she's extremely
just
violent.
a second. You have a bad temper?
I can.
Yeah, I know. And I know that you do. And I know that when he pushed his way into your house that day, things got hot and heavy. Right?
Really, I'm scared of him.
Now, listen to me. Things got hot and heavy. Is that right?
It's already heated, but I wouldn't hit him because I know he'll hit me back.
Mm-mm.
I know he'll hit me back.
Yeah, I've been hit with bricks, 2x4s.
Well, then you're an idiot.
Cell phone.
Then listen to me. Then you're an idiot.
Oh,
if you've been hit with bricks and hammers and glasses and cups and you keep going back, then something's not right. Then your friend says, what am I going to be friendly with him for? He's an idiot. Right?
Right.
See? You knew you'd come in handy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Regina Shields claims ex-boyfriend Byron Germany kicked in her front door and assaulted her.
Yana, can we put him over there with her? She's gonna say I'm an idiot.
Well, don't you think you're an idiot? Listen, if you get hit with bricks and hammers and cups and she's vicious and you keep going back.
Yana, it's not like she...
Shh. Does that make you smart?
No, don't make you smart, but she's not beating me, literally beating me, but I'm saying she will hit you with something.
Protecting her.
She'll break a curtain rod up and hit you.
If he got... Just wait a second. So now I've got Byron. I've got curtain rods, bricks.
It gets worse, sir.
Hammers.
2x4s.
2x4s.
Yeah. And cell phones.
Cups. Cell phones.
Yeah, cell phones. House phones. We had to replace the house phone 3 times because she wants to beat you with them.
Byron, you're right. Go over on that side.
Nah, I'm just saying. I mean, I be trying to give him advice too, like he just need to leave her alone. You know?
See? Wisdom.
Yeah. You know, she's complaining about the doors. I mean, I have damages too. She tore up cars. She done kicked doors, and I got a Hummer. She beat it with an iron, like you iron. I was going to pull out the driveway, then bam.
Ask him why he stays.
If I ask him why he stays, we may turn into an R-rated program. Why do you stay, Byron?
I mean, I love her to death. She's a good girl when she want to be, but what I'm trying to say to you, I mean, she does things too. I mean, I bought a car, and I only had it 3 days, and I got my cousin. I know it sounds strange. My cousin hit me on the expressway, knocked me to the guardrail. I only had the car 3 days, and she said, that's what you get for not giving me no money. I mean, that's not right. She was in the car with me. We both could have ended up seriously hurt.
He's trying to say I'm money hungry. That's what he's trying to say.
Well, maybe you are and maybe you're not. Anyway, Byron, I don't know whether she loves you or not, but all I can tell you is if you don't stay away from her, there's going to be a problem. And you're going to have this baby, and then there are going to be a whole host of other problems. Do you understand? Because you're going to want to see this baby, you're going to want to visit with this baby, and unless you learn to control yourself, and she learns to control herself, because my sense is that she knows how to get your goat. But you can't touch her.
No, she kicked his car before. He just bought a car.
Listen to me. I believe she's got a bad temper.
Can I say something, Judge Judy, please?
Sure.
I know when a bad situation is getting ready to get out of hand, the only thing I ask of him is just leave. When I get angry, I can easily go and do things like that to his property when he does to where I live, but I don't do that. I just ask that he leave, and if he doesn't leave, I call the police.
Listen to me. I know you sound as if butter would melt in your mouth. What he's saying is that when you're not here in a courtroom situation, you can have a really hot, volatile temper. That's what he's saying. And I have a tendency to believe him because I think that he doesn't do the right thing, but I don't think he's full of baloney. And I think you are a little bit. I'm not saying he does the right thing. He doesn't do the right thing. Staying out all night, not the right thing. Not keeping in touch with you, not the right thing. If he's fooling around, not the right thing. But you know how to get to him so that when you bring the decibel level up to a certain point and then you say, now you have to go home, Byron. Well, you've already got him all worked up. Her lip got split, and her lip wouldn't have gotten split if you hadn't punched in the door. So you're going to pay for all those medical bills, which come to about which come to about $630. Better find somebody to fix your door for about $500.
Yana, I didn't hit her in the lip. I shouldn't have to pay.
I don't care whether you hit her in the lip or not, but for the fact that you pushed in the door, there wouldn't have been a scuffle and her lip wouldn't have gotten busted.
All she had to do is answer the door. He could tell you. He was right
Just
there.
a second. She didn't want to answer the door. She doesn't have to answer the door. There is nothing written in the Constitution, Byron, that provides that she has to answer the door because you knock on it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,130. I suggest you stay far away from each other unless it's pursuant to a court order of visitation for this new blessed event that's coming next month. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 438 on the calendar in the matter of Water versus Boris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Water, the defendant is your former husband, and you have 2 children together.
We have 4.
I only knew of 2 boys. You have
2 boys and 2 girls.
In any event, one of your boys was in need of a car. So you called your ex-husband because you knew that he had a car that was not running, an old car, 40 years old, a classic car, and you made the following agreement with him, according to your complaint, that you would invest your money in getting the car up and running if he would give the car to your son. What's your son's name?
Luke.
And Mr. Boris said, okay, go get it. It's laying over in my father's property because it's not running. So far, correct?
I went down and prepped the car. We pulled it out and cleaned it up. My son.
But it wasn't running.
It wasn't running.
And you took the car, and over the course of the next several months, you put the car in running order and invested, according to you, almost $4,000 in the car. And at some point, there came a problem because you couldn't title the car and get the insurance on the car and turn it over to Luke because there was some problem with Mr. Boris.
Yes.
And you ended up buying your son another car.
Right.
And now you're suing him for the money you invested in his car.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn to you, Mr. Boris, and ask you some questions, sir.
Sure.
First, tell me what year car this was.
1964 Falcon.
And how long have you had it?
30 years.
And according to your answer, it had been your intention always to give the car to one of your sons.
Correct.
So it's clear that you and your former wife had this agreement that she was going to fix the car and you were going to give the car to Luke.
Right.
And she did fix the car and invest thousands of dollars in it.
No, she said she had it fixed, but it still didn't run right. After spending that amount of money, it didn't run right.
She spent thousands of dollars on the car.
Correct.
How many thousands of dollars do you have documented that you spent on the car?
$5,293.
So what happened, Mr. Boris?
When they picked the car up, I only saw it one time after they picked the car up, and I had asked on several occasions to be included in the repair of the car because that was our dream. That didn't happen. Her new live-in boyfriend did the repairs on the car with my son, which upset him greatly because that was our thing, always.
And Mr. Boris, if that was going to be your thing, then why didn't you say, listen, if you pay for the parts, we'll leave it at my father's house, and I'll work with Luke on it, you know, whenever I can. Why did you, according to you, put it in shape so that they could move it?
She made the offer of, if I give the car to Luke, that she would pay for the repairs.
Right. Well, that's what I said.
She didn't want to include me in that, though. She said she would, but once they got the car, I never saw it after that. They took it somewhere else to a friend of his who builds race cars, and she wouldn't tell me where it was. I'd asked several occasions.
How did you ask?
I'd like to go see the car. I'd like to see where it is, the progress of the car.
And what did she say to you?
No, it's being worked on.
Oh, that's not a nice thing to do. Why did you do that?
Well, I don't recall ever saying that. The car was at the mechanic's house for a month while he was rebuilding the engine and doing major work to it, and then we brought it home, and it was parked in front of the house until the police came by and told me that the registration was not valid, even though I had plates and tags. So we had to move it off the street. So we did park it at a friend's house who has some property.
Well, what do you need to get the car in a state where it can be registered and have proper tags?
Just a signed statement from him stating that he has given the car to my son, but he refuses to do that.
I have a thing from the DMV. My son has the proper paperwork. The reason that the DMV kicked it back out was because she tried to add her name to it. Her name
How old is Luke?
16.
He can't register the car himself.
He can become the legal owner, though.
No, he can't. He can't. She needs an insurable interest in the car in order to get insurance on it. Anybody who wants to insure a car has to have an insurable interest in that car. Otherwise, you could take out insurance on my life, for instance, and then I wouldn't feel safe. Do you understand? So your 16-year-old son cannot own this property alone. He has to own it with a parent, with an adult, or with his guardian.
More than willing to be a co-owner with him.
Well, that wasn't your agreement.
And the agreement wasn't to make her the owner either.
No, she's not supposed to be the owner. But if she...
There on the paperwork, it's trying to show that she's trying to put her name on the title.
With Luke?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so what's wrong with that? She's just paid $5,000 to fix it.
Because my son told me once she takes ownership, because she bought him a new car, she went and spent thousands of dollars more for a new car rather than to continue to invest in fixing that car. And my son has told me that once she becomes the owner, she's going to sell it. And that was never the intent.
Miss Water, is it your testimony today that if you are successful, that it is your intention to give this car to your son, or is it your intention to sell it?
My intent was to get the car running for my son. I tried to do something nice because I knew he wanted to give the car to one of his sons. So I said, you give him the car, I will pay to have it up and running. He failed to follow through on his part.
No, madam.
He refused to sign a bill of sale.
He did not want to sign a bill of sale to you and Luke. He says, I don't have a problem with signing a bill of sale over to myself and Luke, but not
after
to...
I invested the money.
What?
It could be in my son's name, but as you state, it cannot only be in his name.
Correct. And he said, I'm not making my former wife a gift. I'm making a gift to my son. So he has no objection to giving you a bill of sale so that you can act as emissary to have the car registered and insured, correct?
Yes.
That's not unreasonable. That was your agreement. Your agreement wasn't that he was going to reimburse you.
I have a younger son whom also I had planned on, once he reaches the age, to pass that car on to him.
Listen, you can only pass the car to one child. You made an agreement with your former wife. Your agreement was that she would fix the car. She would pay to fix the car, and the car would be Luke's.
Right. And
It is only by virtue of the fact that the law proscribes a 16-year-old from owning a vehicle because he can't insure the vehicle that I come up with this solution for you, sir. And she is the guardian and custodian of your 16-year-old son, so you cannot sell this car without her permission. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, I would
Good.
turn the car after Luke is 18.
No.
It's a family heirloom. It's something I want to keep in the family.
Mr. Boris, listen to me very carefully, sir. You made an agreement with your former wife.
And Luke.
And Luke. And you will, and I will issue an order, that you will do a bill of sale to your son and you as co-owners of this car. And you will deliver that bill of sale to your former wife, giving her the ability, because that was your agreement, to register the car and insure it. If Luke chooses to drive it, that's fine. If he wishes to insure it, that's fine. If she wishes to keep that car on her property for the next 2 years until Luke is ready to take it himself, and I assume, sir, that you want to maintain good relations with your son when he's 18, I assume you're going to sign the car over to him.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
Perfect. That's the solution. So within 5 days from today, you will deliver that statement to your wife, along with the agreement that when Luke turns 18, he will become the sole owner of the car. Is that reasonable?
That's reasonable.
Understand? Good. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very frustrated. I put a lot of money into that car, and I wasn't able to get it registered so my son could use it, and he needed another car, so I have spent more money than I needed to.
She let her new live-in boyfriend do the work on the car with my son.
They're just allegations. I gave him plenty of opportunity. The only thing is he wanted me to fund his time with his son.
It had been something that my son and I had always planned on doing together, not some guy that she has living in the house.
He makes everything difficult.
It's been this way for years.
I just hope we can put it behind us.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Eden versus Neely. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Desiree Eden is suing her father's girlfriend, EMT tech Susan Neely, for the return of payments on a Dodge Neon she repossessed. Susan is countersuing for the vehicle's unpaid balance and insurance payments.
Who are you?
I'm the dad.
Why don't you stand up, sir? Miss Eden, while this gentleman, who's your father, is not a defendant, I'm going to have him stand here because I think it's important. Miss Neely is your father's girlfriend. They live together, is that right?
Yes.
According to what I read, a couple of years ago, you needed a car. You were living with your father and his girlfriend. And Miss Neely agreed to buy a car. You were underage, so it was in her name. And tell me what the agreement was.
The agreement was that I paid the car payments on the car as it came. I paid the $1,000 down plus the car payments on it.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
From when to when?
From November 2003 to December or November 26th of 2004.
And you made the payments every month?
Yes.
Who paid the insurance?
I paid it when she asked for it.
The agreement was that you would make the monthly payments.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Neely, is it correct that Miss Eden made the monthly payments on the car from November of 2003 to November of 2004?
Her last payment was on November the 12th.
So the answer would...
The day after Thanksgiving, she decided that she was going to move out and move in with her boyfriend. And I told her she could not take the car because that car was in my name. It was titled in my name. And I would not let her have it because if something should happen and they go out and have a wreck and kill somebody, it comes back on me. So I told her she had to leave the car with me, and if she came with the balance owed against the car, then I would sign it over to her.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second.
She did not come up with the $2,201.93 that was owed against the car, so I would not allow her to have it.
Well, wasn't your agreement. Miss Neely, that wasn't your agreement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's really dumb to hitch your wagon to a star when you're 18 years old, especially when the star isn't such a star.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old Desiree Eden says her father's girlfriend, Susan Neely, illegally repossessed her car. Susan says she took the car away when Desiree moved in with her boyfriend.
When did you turn 18?
May 23rd.
Of 2004?
Of 2004.
Once she turned 18, and continue to make the payments, and you continue to accept the payments, that contract that you had with her, that verbal contract, was ratified, which meant it became a contract. The contract's terms were very simple. You make the payments until the car is paid off, and I'll sign the title over to you. That was your contract.
But she's no longer making payments.
She stopped making payments because you wouldn't let her take the car.
Correct.
What we're talking about is an anticipatory breach, which is you said to yourself, I'm not so sure whether she's going to continue to make the payments on the car if she's not here and living with the boyfriend, so I'm not going to let her have the car. That's what you really said.
Well, our insurance company told us that.
Hey, don't tell me what your insurance company told you. The insurance company cannot interpret a contract that you had with her.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Also, when it was told to her when we decided to get the car for her, it was also told that she would stay in school, and it depended on her grades. That way we could also use the car. If she starts slipping a little bit, we could take the car away from her.
She hadn't slipped? Sir, she just decided to move out and move in with her boyfriend.
Exactly. But after that is when she lost her job. She quit school.
I did not.
But just a second, just a second. Mr. Eden, at the time she left, she was making the payments.
Yes.
She was in school.
Yep.
And she had a job.
Yes.
You can't anticipate what's going to happen afterwards. Where's the car now?
It is at my house.
They have it for sale for $2,500.
Car is hers.
Okay, who pays the rest of the...
She does.
Okay. Does she pay that to us or to the car dealership, or...
Are you working?
No, ma'am.
Well, how are you going to make the payments on the car?
Well, I just moved back into my mom's here recently. I have to get another job.
Where's the boyfriend?
Right here.
How come you moved out of his house?
We both moved into my mom's house. We were having too much problems in Monette where we were living with him. He had assaulted me shortly after I moved out.
Who did?
My father. I had to get a restraining order against him on December 8th. He assaulted me on December 7th.
About what?
About he was mad that I moved out and I was living with him.
Does he work?
Yes, he does.
What does he do?
He is
Don't
in
look down.
factory.
What?
Factory.
And what about you?
I'm in school, high school.
How do you do in high school?
I do really good. I have good grades.
You do really well.
I do really well. I try.
I have a report card from when she left.
We don't need you to do any negatives.
Okay, I just sort
Listen to me. Is he in school?
No, he's not.
How old is he?
22.
Do you have the ability to do better in school?
Yes, ma'am.
It's really dumb to hitch your wagon to a star when you're 18 years old, especially when the star isn't such a star. Unless you get an education, it's going to be a struggle your whole life. You want to struggle your whole life?
No, Your Honor.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
You look like you have the potential to do okay. Unless you recognize your potential, you're going to be clawing at life your whole life. I think that taking back this car is probably going to be a terrible burden for you, financially, because you don't have the money for it now, right?
Right.
So you put in $4,000 into the car in the year that you had it, in payments that you made.
Correct.
Let's say you had to rent a car, a basic car, for the year. That would have cost you about $2,000 or $166 a month, basic. So you have the following choice. Either you assume full financial responsibility for this car, or I'm prepared to award you half of what you're requesting, which is $2,000, which might give you an opportunity of going and finding a good second-hand car that wouldn't give you any further payments. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Ms. Neely and your father can go and sell this car. If they make a profit, fine. If they don't, fine. You think that's a smarter idea for you?
Yes, I do, because I don't know what they've done. I'm not sure what they've done to the car since I haven't had it.
Well, I don't think they've purposely done anything. They're trying to sell it. All right. You can't anticipate a breach of a contract. You had an agreement with this young lady, and she fulfilled her end of the agreement. She used the car for a year, over a year. She understands that that's wear and tear on the car. I'm awarding her $2,000. Be smart. Buy wheels so that you can get yourself to and from school and to and from a part-time job. Do well in school. Think a little higher than what you know. You know, think a little higher, think. Can I reach my potential, and what is that?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any children, do you?
Oh, no.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you don't plan on any for a while, right?
No, ma'am.
Very smart. Make sure. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She bailed her ex out of jail.
She was pretty much the only person I knew that would help me.
Gave him a place to live.
I wanted to be with her and wanted to, be a family again.
And how did he repay her?
He was arrested for domestic assault the very next day.
Against her?
Correct.
You were foolish?
I was just in love.
What happens when you fall in love with a bum?
Judge Judy.
I was giving her my paycheck. I don't consider...
Subsequent to your divorce, you made 2 loans to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Both were for court fines or tickets or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
And neither of those loans have been repaid.
No, ma'am.
The defendant says that you did, in fact, advance him the money in form of a loan, and he paid you back. And he says that the second chunk of money that you gave him to pay tickets or something so that he could get his license back was just a gift, and he is also prepared to establish that. So, when were you married and when were you divorced, Ms. Kranz?
We were married on October the 10th of 2003.
And when were you divorced?
The divorce papers are stated April the 27th of 2004.
And when was the first loan?
June the 21st of 2004. And I do have where he signed a note that he would pay me back the money.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Okay. Also attached with that is the way that I proceeded to get the money. He was in jail at the time for not paying fines and restitutions.
Just a second. One second. Shh. Okay, were you in jail in June of 2004?
Most definitely.
When did you get out of jail?
Like the beginning of July. She came and posted a bond for me. It was a $2,200 cash bond.
And you signed this that you owe her $23.33.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
With regard to that, you say you paid her back.
Yes, ma'am.
How come you called your former wife for the money? You were divorced?
We were planning on trying to work things out. We've been talking on the phone while I was in jail. I would have been there probably 4 years if I had not made that bond. She was pretty much the only person I knew that would help me.
Okay. So you were pretty desperate.
I was probably more than desperate. I mean, I wanted to be with her and wanted to, be a family again. But I mean, yeah, she was the only place.
What were you in jail for, sir?
I had stolen some things, and I had violated my probation for that by not paying my fines and court costs and all that.
Now, show me, Mr. Lubersbeck, that you paid her back.
What I have is my check stubs that my bosses wrote me for that period of time, and I have my supervisor at the job that was there on 2 occasions. She came and personally got my check. I signed it and she got it. And then when I went back to jail, she picked up my last paycheck, and he can testify that he was there and saw that.
Your Honor, I will state that when we were together, he would contribute to bills, but certainly never repaying any of the money that I had loaned him.
Did you ever go and get money from his supervisor?
There was one occasion where I picked up a paycheck. After he had went to jail in August, I picked up an $84 paycheck from his job.
Only one paycheck?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the only time you went?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Nebojša Kovacevic.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
Were you his supervisor?
Yes, at that time.
Tell me what you know about these paychecks.
I know at 2 occasions that she came on Fridays and he signed the paychecks, and gave it to her. And the last, when he went to jail, the last paycheck, my brother gave it out to her because he called from jail and told me to give her the last check.
Now, what about the 2 other times that you say you saw him?
Yes, I saw him sign the paycheck and hand it to her.
Where were you living at the time, sir?
When I got the loan, I got out of jail, moved directly in with Ms. Krantz.
How long did you live with her?
It was not very long.
Tell me how long. When did you get out of jail? You got out of jail
it was
in
a month long.
July?
Yes, ma'am, and in August I was back in jail, so it was about 3 weeks.
I made the loan for him on June the 21st. I paid his fines and restitutions to get him out of jail. He could not get out of jail until they were paid.
He was not, just a second, he was not living with you at the time?
No, ma'am, he was in jail.
Okay, so then he got out of jail.
And he was arrested for domestic assault the very next day.
On who?
On me.
How long did he live with you after that?
From the time that I made the loan to him to the time that he moved out of my home completely was, I say, about a month, maybe.
And how much money do you claim you gave her, sir, in your paychecks?
Ma'am, since I've known her...
No, I don't care since you know her. I'm talking about for that 1 month.
Every dime it says I made. Since I've known her, I've signed every paycheck I've ever made, and she has deposited in her account.
Listen to me. You're not following what I'm saying to you.
$2,308. And after I was arrested for domestic assault, my boss came and bonded me out, and I went and stayed with him.
Did he sign his checks over to you, and did they go into a joint account?
No, ma'am. I had my own personal private account. Thomas never was on my account. He was not able to be on my account.
No, that's not what I asked.
Okay. No, ma'am, he did not. No.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a stay-at-home mother. I have a special education child, and I stay at home.
Well, who supports your family?
I get a Social Security check for my son's disability, and I also get alimony from my first 13-year marriage.
Okay. Let me hear about the next loan that you allegedly made to him.
Mr. Lupersbeck got out of jail December the 13th of 2004.
Was that for domestic violence?
It was for a probation violation because of the domestic violence.
Against her?
Correct.
Go ahead.
Mr. Lupersbeck got out of jail on December the 13th, in which he called me, stated that he had nowhere to stay, nowhere to go. He wanted to come back home. I allowed that to happen. I know that he owed me money from before. I figured if I didn't let him come back home and help him...
Don't even say that. You said that in your complaint.
Well, that was... It was.
I don't believe it. When he came back home, did he sleep with you in your bed?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, it was...
Shut! That's not to give him a place to stay. Giving him a place to stay is that he has a pillow and you go sleep on the couch. Letting him come home and share your bed is a totally different thing, Miss Krantz. You know it and I know it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I was just in love, and I was
Well, then you
foolish.
have to say that, you know. I mean, that's clear. You were in love with him?
And I was foolish.
Well, then why are you bothering me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My daughter was not with me. She had chose to live with her father.
Is she back now?
No, we are just now establishing our relationship together.
It's what happens when you fall in love with a bum.
And later today,
I was trying to get out of the vacation because I didn't want to be around any negative influences where I know that things are going on.
So why did you go?
Speck owes for 2 loans to pay court fines and restitution. Shelley also says Thomas is an abuser.
Okay. You were foolish. You were in love. You gave him money.
I did.
Then you had a fight, and he probably knocked you around, and you had him incarcerated, and then he was violated again, and then as soon as he got out of jail, you let him come back again in December to your home where you have children, where children are supposed to be peaceful and live in a peaceful, quiet environment.
At that time, my daughter was not with me. She had chose to live with her father because of the things that had happened between Mr. Lupersbeck and I.
Is she back now?
No, we are just now establishing our relationship together.
Well, that's what happens. It's what happens when you fall in love with a bum. Fall in love with a bum, you can lose your whole family.
I realize that.
That would be you.
No, it wouldn't.
You may have a seat, sir. Yeah,
Sure.
That would be you.
Ma'am, I've worked every day since I've met this lady, and I was sleeping in my car before we were married and giving her my paycheck. I don't consider that being a bum so that her and her family can eat.
Just a second, sir. How did she get involved with the arrest that brought you 2 probation violations? Who'd you steal from her?
No, sir, ma'am, it was an employer that was refusing to pay me.
You mean an employer that was refusing to pay you? A judge wouldn't listen to you when you were trying to get your money from that employer? Look at you, Mr. Lupersbeck. You can't even keep a straight face.
I didn't even try to go through a court. I just took what I felt he owed me.
Did that ever happen before, Mr. Lupersbeck?
No, ma'am.
Never were arrested before?
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't have anything to do with that, did she?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So how many times in total, I want you to think? How old are you?
26.
26. So you haven't had that long a life. How many times have you been arrested? Let's say more than 5?
15.
15. So you've been arrested 15 times. And how many times was she involved?
Twice.
Twice out of 50. So 13 times she was not. That makes you a bum.
Sure.
Just because you try to pay your own way and pay a little rent money doesn't make you not a bum. Somebody who's 26 years old who's been arrested 15 times is a bum. That's what my grandmother would say.
She's entitled to her opinion.
It's my opinion's the only one who counts here. Listen to me, Ms. Krantz. Give me the second loan. He came out of jail in December of 2004. You took him back home. I assume it was at that point your daughter went to your ex-husband or before?
No, ma'am, that was in June.
In June of 2004?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so she had enough of him 6 months before.
Yes, ma'am.
So now let's fast forward to December 2004. Go ahead.
He came home. He was placed on intensive state probation. Part of his probation was that he was to get his license back and retain a job. So he asked if I would help him get his license reinstated. He promised me several times if I paid this for him, that he would pay me back. He informed me that there were 2 tickets that he had to get paid.
All right, so you gave him how much, $800?
It was over $800.
All right, and then what happened after the 15?
Shortly thereafter, we began to argue. Thomas still had a problem finding a job.
And?
We began to argue because he wouldn't he wouldn't get a job and he wouldn't pay me back the money that he owed me.
Is that what you were arguing about?
We were arguing because that's what we do. I guess that was one of the topics of conversation, sure.
Your Honor.
And what did you say to her?
I went and sat in the living room on the chair, and when the argument continued, I left.
What was she saying to you?
After about the first 10 minutes, I don't even know. I wasn't listening.
Is it possible she was saying to you, you have to get a job because you have to pay me back the money you owe me?
She did say that, and that's something that we already knew, but it was wintertime. I frame houses for a living, and framing jobs aren't so easy to find in the wintertime.
Well, this makes my life much easier because you see what you just said, Mr. Lubespec? You said that's what we were arguing about, you know, about the money that I owed her. But, you know, it's not so easy in the wintertime to get a job framing, and that's what I do for a living. So you know what that is, Mr. Lubespec?
What is it?
That is an acknowledgement that you owe her money.
Your Honor.
Shut up! Sorry. That's what it is. You must have been before a lot of dumb judges in your time, sir.
Not that I know of.
Somebody who's been arrested and probably convicted more than half a dozen times, as far as I'm concerned, should probably be in jail forever. Listen to me carefully, sir. Did you give him a W-2 for his taxes?
Your Honor, it's a different form.
It's a different form.
1099.
Okay, so you gave him a 1099.
Yes, he's got that.
You have a short time to fill out your taxes, sir.
Correct, ma'am. April 15th.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,195, which is the amount requested. I don't believe, Mr. Lubespec, that you paid back this loan. Your final statement to me indicates that the last argument that you had with the plaintiff was over this loan. You decided to tune her out on the 15th of December. I tune you out now. Thank you very much. That's
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We can't communicate because both of us are hard-headed and didn't want to listen to the other one.
I'm just very hurt that I gave the defendant so many chances and tried to help him so much, and he still denied the fact that he owed me the money.
I love her very much.
I care about him, but I think I'm going to make smarter decisions from now on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McLeish versus Kramer. Step forward.
21-year-old department store manager Ashley McLeish is suing her former friend, retail salesperson Angela Kramer, for her share of a trip to Las Vegas. Angela claims Ashley and her witness coerced her into going.
How old are you, Miss McLeish?
21.
Miss Kramer?
21.
You used to be really good friends, and you claim that Miss Kramer owes you for her share of a trip that the two of you took to Las Vegas.
Correct.
And Miss Kramer says she had a lousy time, right?
Yeah.
And in addition to having a lousy time, she never agreed to pay you back.
That is incorrect.
Miss Kramer, what do you do for a living?
I'm a student in a retail sales.
Where do you work?
I work at Mervin's.
You live by yourself?
No.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
In his house?
Yes.
Miss McLeish, what about you? You're a student?
Yeah, I go to Golden West College, and I'm a retail manager at Mervin's, and I live with my parents.
Okay, good. Now, you went on vacation?
Yes.
For how long?
3 days.
You were going there for what reason?
Because it was our 21st birthday, so me, her, and my witness wanted to have a good time, and on our 21st birthday, Vegas is like the place to be.
Good. So, you asked her to go with you?
Yes.
She said?
Yes.
And?
So I looked online for prices for hotel and airfare because we wanted to fly there. And after...
Did Miss Kramer say that you should put these charges on your credit card?
I agreed to put it on my credit card, and the agreement was that she would pay me back before we left on August 1st.
Your Honor, that's not...
Just a second. She didn't pay you back?
No, she hadn't paid me back.
What did she tell you about paying you back?
She said she'll get back to me. So I figured it would, like, she'd pay me back when we got back because we were having a great time. We both had fun. We went out to dinner, we went dancing, we went to clubs, we got VIP everything. We didn't have to pay for anything. And all she did
Why
was...
not?
Why not? Because the month before we had made a connection. Our friend knows a lot of like security guards, and he knows a lot of bouncers, so we got to get in free. We didn't have to wait in like 2-hour lines to get in the best clubs.
Okay, according to you, you had a good time.
Right.
Came back, she didn't pay.
Right.
Go.
I never agreed to pay. When she said that the hotel, the price of it, I said that's way too high and I'd rather just stay at my family's house because I can stay there for free.
So why didn't you?
Because when I told them that, they said, just don't worry about it.
And somebody dragged you on the plane?
Well, you know, it's my 21st birthday. I was trying to distance myself anyways, and that's why...
I'm asking you, somebody dragged you on the plane?
No.
Well, if you didn't want to go, why did you go?
Because they said just don't worry about the costs.
Well, why would you think that they would take you away on vacation?
Because that's what they said.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I don't believe you.
I actually have pictures, if I could show you, of her having a good time dancing.
I don't care whether she had a good time or whether she had a lousy time. It's irrelevant to me.
Your Honor, I was trying to get out of the vacation because I didn't want to go with them. And when they said, just come on, please go, I decided, fine, I'll go. Because they said, don't worry about any of the costs, don't worry about anything,
Your Honor,
just
may I
go.
say something,
Yeah,
please?
step up. Tell me your name.
My name is Lori Irigoyen, and we spoke to her the night before we left, and she said, yeah, she couldn't afford it, but then we said, okay, we've still put it on a credit card, you need to pay us back, or you need to pay Ashley back. She didn't want to do that. Well, you can't
Well, what
just...
did she say?
She said, no, I don't have to pay you back. If I don't go, I shouldn't have to pay you back.
Exactly.
Why did you call the night before?
Because I had talked to them recently before that also, because what I was doing was I was talking to my backgrounds investigator, and when I was going through looking at the lie detector test and polygraph...
I have no idea what you're talking about now. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
What it is I'm going for a future career in the criminal justice, and so I was talking to a backgrounds investigator, and she was showing me the polygraph test that you would have to be taking, and it had to ask questions about your friends and what you know about your friends, and that can make you fail and make it so you can't get into a premier area.
So? Please.
I had decided that I didn't want to be around any negative influences where I know that things are going on.
So why did you go?
Because I made a mistake. I thought...
Good. Yeah, that's what you say. You say, I made a mistake. And when you make a mistake, what do? Pay! Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $296.45.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 443 on the calendar in the matter of Aristizabal versus Morales. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat. Ma'am, please.
Mr. Aristizabal, what kind of a business do you have, sir?
Do an auto repair business, ma'am?
According to your complaint, Mr. Morales came into your shop to have his car fixed. You did a diagnostic workup on his car, told him he needed transmission to be done.
Yes.
He decided at some point that he didn't want you to do the work on his car, and he went to leave. You told him he couldn't leave until he paid you for the diagnostic work, which was $85.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, at some point, and you're going to tell me how this happened, he tried to leave. You tried to stop him. Tried to stop him by having one of your employees close a gate. He plowed through, damaged your property and a sign. You want him to pay for all that damage. Mr. Morales says that you had no right to try to restrain him. Correct. That you did no work on the car, that when your gate closed on his car, you caused damage to his car, and he is counterclaiming.
Correct.
What day did Mr. Morales come into your shop?
On 11/16, Mr. Morales came. I do have an exhibit.
What time did he come, sir?
4 o'clock, 4:30.
And what time does your shop close, sir?
6 o'clock, Your Honor.
Did Mr. Morales have an appointment, or did he come in
No, he walked
without
in.
an appointment?
He walked into my shop by a friend. He was recommended by a friend of his.
Had he had work done by Mr. Aristizabal himself?
No, Your Honor.
So why did he make this recommendation to you?
He said to me that this was his uncle's shop and that he'd give me a good price, an estimated price on rebuilding my transmission for that.
Is that what you needed, a rebuilt transmission?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you know that you needed a rebuilt transmission, Mr. Morales?
I had went the day before to another mechanic shop, and I have the receipt here. It shows that I paid for diagnostics, and it states there that my transmission needed to be rebuilt.
Now, when you came into Mr. Aristibal's shop, sir, did you tell him you needed to rebuild the transmission?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. Well, actually, when I first got there, he wasn't there. He showed up about 45 minutes later.
So at that point, it was between 4:45 and 5:30.
Yeah, about 5:30, when I finally got in contact with him around that time. He showed up. He asked me...
Who's Giovanni?
He was Giovanni at the time. He stated his name was Giovanni. He asked me what was the problem with the car. I stated my transmission needed to be rebuilt. He asked me, how do I know? I told him because I had another diagnostics done. So he then got in the car and test drove the vehicle.
How did he test drive the vehicle, sir?
He drove it up to the garage door, and then he also reversed it back. He opened the hood. He looked in it. The vehicle was on the whole time, and then that was basically all he did. He asked me to follow me into my office. He asked me for my information.
May I see the piece of paper that you have, sir? Is that the information that you filled out when you came in?
Yes, this is exactly information exactly as to what...
Mr. Morales was sitting in your office.
There is 4 copies, Your Honor, just to refresh you. There's 4 copies at the beginning of the estimate. That was the final estimate, what it says, everything that I found with the vehicle, everything that said. He also asked me
You're not answering my question, sir.
That's the piece of paper that he filled up, yes, Your Honor. And he got an estimate of
No. Mr. Morales did not sign this document that you have handed to me.
Yes, he did.
No, he did not sign this as it is written here. You filled this out after he left. So I want to see what he signed when he was there, not after you wrote everything that you wanted to write on this document about what happened later.
I gave him a copy where it says computer diagnosis, ABS not working, to check and advice. $85 on the top of it, as you can see. The final invoice,
This invoice is meaningless to me, sir. So then let's get over this, because we're not going to waste any more time. We're not going to waste any more time.
Fine, Your Honor.
Tell me what you did with the car, Mr. Aristobal.
When it came off for the car, I did the diagnosis. I put it what is called a modest.
Tell me what you did.
I did the diagnostic.
Listen to me.
Would you please let me describe, Your Honor?
No, I want you to answer my question, Mr. Aristobal.
I final invoice did. I told him exactly what it was wrong at 5:30. He said he was going to take it somewhere else to have it repaired somewhere else. He wasn't going to do it then. I asked him, he must repair. He must pay me for the diagnosis that I had done.
I didn't hear anybody doing a diagnostic, sir. Just because you wrote diagnosis doesn't mean you did anything. Now, you want to tell me exactly what you did or produce an employee who performed any work on the car.
It says right there on the invoice, Your Honor.
Mr. Aristobal, that's what the whole dispute is about. Mr. Morales says you didn't do any work on his car.
So he signed an invoice saying to have the car diagnosed.
This invoice, sir, is worthless. You wrote this invoice after the whole incident happened.
Did you see that I did it after, Your Honor?
Sir, you can't produce something.
I am producing. That's the honestly true, Your Honor.
Mr. Aristobal.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We started arguing. He was, being loud. I got loud also.
He was a little bit high on drugs, I will imagine, because he was very,
This man was not high on drugs.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mechanic Orlando Aristizabal says customer James Morales owes for skipping out on a bill. James says Orlando didn't perform any work on his car.
Who is this person?
That is a customer that happened to be there when he damaged his car, and he's here to testify. He damaged the car with the...
So this is a witness that you brought. Did you bring a witness who did any work on Mr. Morales' car?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, did anybody else take your car away from you and put it up on a lift or a machine?
No, Your Honor.
When you told him that you weren't going to do the job, what happened?
Well, what happened was, from after he drove the vehicle, we got off the car, we went into his office. He asked me for my information. I signed the form. He said that he was going to call me the next day to let me know exactly how much it was going to cost, that it was mandatory for his company to do a diagnostics. So after all, I agreed with it. I said, fine, fine. I agreed with it. I left the premises.
What made you change your mind, sir?
Overall, the car is in my name. It's my car. But that's my wife's vehicle. I have a 99 Tahoe, my truck, which I drive to work and back. She uses the Infiniti to go to work and do her errands. The car that was getting fixed was coming out of her money. She said no. She decided not to. She told me, well, we're wasting our money if we're throwing our money out the window to get another diagnostics done if we just got one done yesterday. So from there...
So you went back inside to get your car?
Right. When I went back to the premises, we pulled into the vehicle. She pulled in where the gate line is, right on the premises line, where the gate would close, and she stopped. I got off the vehicle, I walked up to the garage, I seen my vehicle still in the same place, the key's still in the ignition, the hood was still open, the door was open, and I looked for Mr. Giovanni, which he told me his name was at the time. I went into the office, I did not see him. I came out of the office, he came out of the back, he appeared out of the back. I then told him, we're not gonna leave the car with you after all, I'm gonna go ahead and take my car. He told me, well, you can go ahead and take the car, but you have to pay me my diagnostics, my $85 for the work that was done. I told him what work. I told him there was no wires connected to my car. I see no computer next to my car. I see no mechanic next to my car. I see no tools. The car was not on a hoist. It was not moved. So therefore, I felt that there was no work rendered to my vehicle, and I told him that I was not going to pay him.
Did you see his car on a lift, sir?
No.
Did you see any wires attached to his car being diagnosed?
Well, I was only there for like 5 minutes.
The answer is no.
No.
Go ahead.
So from that point, I told him I told him that I wasn't gonna pay him. We started arguing. He was being loud. I got loud also, and from there I had my wife and my daughter in my truck waiting for me. I didn't want to argue with him, so I gave him the paper back. I shook his hand and I told him, look, Mr. Giovanni, if you feel I owe you, you have all my information.
Sue me.
You call me, you sue me, you do whatever you have to do. I'm taking my car.
Does that sound familiar, Mr. Aristobal?
I saw him after he came back. He wanted to leave. I told him he must pay for the diagnosis, which had been authorized.
And he said, I'm not paying for it.
He said he's not paying for it. I can call the police. He was a little bit high on drugs, I will imagine, because he was very,
This man was not high on drugs. This man was not high on drugs. Listen to me, sir. Mr. Aristobal, put the pictures down, sir. How did you stop him? Because according to your complaint, you said you tried to stop him. How did you try to stop him, sir?
I don't need to stop him. I did not. So help me God, Your Honor. I did not stop him. He left, taking my gate out of it and my dumpster, here in the dumpster, and here is the pictures of it.
Step up. You were a customer?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been a customer there?
For like 1 year.
You saw this incident happen?
Yeah, I only saw when he left.
Did one of Mr. Aristobal's employees close the gate?
No, ma'am.
Was it closed?
No, it was open. It was open like a car's distance.
And so describe to me what happened, sir.
Well, the young man got in his car and he just, like, bailed out fast, like he was stealing the car. He was, like, scared for some reason. He just left real fast and he hit the dumpster and the gate.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. From that time, when I paid it, I told him I wasn't going to pay the $85, I gave him the receipt back, because when I left, he gave me a receipt. And I told him, I'm not going to pay you. I was already backing up. He then asked me, look, at least pay me $45 for my labor fee. I then replied to him, I'm not going to pay you anything. I continued to back up. He started yelling at his, there was about maybe 10 employees there. And if I may say, Your Honor, he was also an employee here. The witness is also an employee. If you notice his hands, they are greasy.
Did you work for him? Did you part-time work for him?
I don't work for him. I paint cars. He's a mechanic shop.
What were you doing there that day, sir?
He was fixing one of my cars.
Fixing one of your personal cars or your business cars?
No, one of my cars.
That
I'm going to sell. Yeah, I try to get cars fixed so I can sell them.
Sit down. Go ahead.
From there, he yelled at his employees, don't let him leave, don't let him leave. I'm calling the police, don't let him leave. Well, my wife was still parked in the same place, if I can point out. She was parked here, right on the gate where the gate closes. And one of the employees started closing the gate on her vehicle. My daughter was in the car on the passenger side, behind the passenger back seat, and where the gate was closing onto. My wife then exits the vehicle and asks Giovanni, what's going on? What's going on? Giovanni replies, he's trying to steal my money. He needs to pay me. You guys need to pay me my money. She got in the vehicle. She backed up. She got onto the street. I then continued to back up. When they closed the gate on me, when it hit my vehicle, if you can see, if I can present some pictures to you. If you notice where the red arrow is, that's where I came to a complete stop at the dent that it made.
I want to see all the pictures, Bird. There's Mr. Aristobal's also, please.
This is the customer's car.
So what's this?
The car was scraped from the front all the way, from the back all the way to the front, from the yellow fence. If you can notice the yellow paint on the fence.
If you look, Your Honor, on the tire on the driver's side, on the first tire, you would see that the trash can was actually pushed onto
the car.
On the driver's side.
You see the blue paint from the picture.
And both of the mirrors were knocked off.
Did you see who did that?
I couldn't really identify who did it. However, I know the male who was closing the gate was a white, tall, Caucasian male. And I told him, what's going on here? Because he's closing the gate on the side my 2-year-old is sitting on in her car seat. He says, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. Mr. Giovanni, at the time, who had presented himself as Giovanni, was instructing his workers in Spanish that by no means let us out. Mr. Giovanni at that time said that he was going to call the cops. However, Cop Ernst did call the dispatching group to see if any call was dispatched from that location, and it was a negative.
Who's Giovanni?
This is, I named my shop after my son.
When somebody comes in and asks for Giovanni, your name is Orlando.
I am Giovanni's DBA-S. Yes, Your Honor, that is true. I'm Orlando DBA-S Giovanni's. That's how my fictitious name is.
You have estimates on your car?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. We have an estimate that was done a couple of days after the incident.
The next day.
The next day.
Which is the 17th. It's also dated.
Do either of you have a police report?
Yes, we do.
We have a copy of the preliminary police report that was filed that day.
If I may,
do you have a copy of a police report that you filed, Mr. Aristobal?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it, please.
If I may, Your Honor.
Shh. Okay. No. What year car is this?
It's a 1993 Infiniti G20.
Well, the cost of painting it is $3,000. It's
Right.
worth more than the car.
Exactly.
Right. You paint cars, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How much do you charge for a really good paint job?
It varies from $2,500 to $500.
And what about to take out all the dents on a car?
Depends how many, what kind of dents.
Here you go. It's not often that I have an expert witness that I can question. You can stand up, sir.
It could be fixed without changing any parts.
Great. How much could you fix it for, sir?
I can fix this probably for $1,500.
You know what I find interesting, Mr. Aristobal? That Mr. and Mrs. Morales filed their police report the date of this incident, the 16th.
Right after.
You didn't bother to file yours until the next day.
When I went there, they told me I won't be able to file the same day because simply they have filled out one. And when I got there at the Foothill Police Division, they told me I must wait until next day so I can file a report. And I went back.
Are you telling me that a police officer said you couldn't give your version of the events on the same day?
Yes, because it was one taken already. Yes, Your Honor, that's
but the next day it was okay for them to take it.
Well, I went over it again.
So what you're telling me is the next day they said...
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Aristobal, you did the wrong thing, sir. There was a dispute. Whether you were right or wrong with regard to the dispute, you had an option. And your option was to let this gentleman and his wife leave.
I did.
And no, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. To let this gentleman and his wife leave, causing no problem, deciding to sue him. You had his name and address. You felt as if he owed you $85. That's what you do. You said, no, I'm calling the police. The truth of the matter is, if you had called the police at that very moment, Mr. Aristobal, you would have been the first one filing the police report. You didn't call the police at all.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Not that day you didn't, sir.
So help me God.
No, you didn't, sir. Because then you would have filed the police report before them. And if I listened to your logic, when they came out speaking, then when they came in, the police would have said to them, you can't file a report today. Mr. Aristobal already did. You have to come back tomorrow and file your report. I know exactly what happened. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what happened. There is no indication whatsoever by you or any witness that any work was done on Mr. and Mrs. Morales' car. You were annoyed that they weren't leaving the car. You told your employees to close the gate because you weren't going to let him take the car. You frightened his wife by your actions, and you're going to pay for his car. And he's not going to pay for any damage that he did to your gate or your dumpster because he had no right to try to keep him inside, which you did. You have recourse. This is not the Wild West. Judgment for the defendant in the amount of $1,700. You can have your car fixed for that amount. Otherwise, you'll have to total it.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step up. Now, this is case number 419 on the calendar, the matter of Lane versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Lane, Miss Thomas was a tenant of yours.
Yes, that's correct.
And it is your claim that she owes you for rent certain property that she took from the apartment or house that she had rented when she ultimately moved out. And that she also owes you for filing false charges against you in her application for a protective order. You claim that Miss Thomas and her family are professional squatters.
Yes, I do.
Which means that they go into people's homes, they rent them, they pay rent for a while, and they stop paying. And since it takes very often 6 months to a year to get them out, they don't pay rent, and they go from place to place, and that's a scam.
It is a scam.
And you're prepared to demonstrate to me that Miss Thomas and her family have a history of doing the same kind of thing to other landlords.
Yes, I do.
And I'd be interested to hear about that. In any event, when did you rent? Is it an apartment or a house?
It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, upper middle income with a pool. February, I rented her the home. She signed a lease on February 27th.
Of 2004?
She moved in on 2004. She moved in on March 15th, 2004.
Who moved in?
Valina Thomas, and the premises were leased to her and her daughter. In addition to her moving in, she moved her brother in.
No, just a second. Who signed the lease?
Valina Thomas and Thomas.
Is that your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the rent, Mr. Lane?
I asked for first, last, and the security deposit, $1,250, Your Honor. $1,250.
I'm going to ask the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to give me the answers. If I need for you to expand, you're going to do that for me. $1,250 a month.
$1,250 a month.
And they gave you first, last, and security.
That's correct.
Okay, so they paid for March, and it was a year lease?
The check for March, Your Honor, was
No, was it a
dishonored.
year lease?
It is a year lease, yes, Your Honor.
The check for March was what, sir?
The check for March was dishonored by the bank. She alleged that a girlfriend had given her a $569 check.
Okay, so the check for March was bounced.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did she ever pay March rent?
She did, Your Honor.
Okay, when did she pay March rent?
She paid March rent prior to April 15th.
And she paid April's rent?
She did pay April's rent, Your Honor.
And what about May?
She did not pay May's, June's, or July's.
Did she and her husband and the rest of the people that she moved into the house, did they live there May, June, and July?
Yes, they did, Your Honor. They lived there through August.
Through August?
Well, actually, they had abandoned the property, and I lived out of state, and I repossessed the property with a writ of possession on July 29th.
I just want to know,
yes, ma'am.
when was the last time they lived in the house?
I wouldn't know. I didn't come back to the property until August the 7th.
Okay, when was the last time you lived in the house, Ms. Thomas?
July 31st.
Fine. Can I see your rent receipt from May?
Did not pay the rent from May till June.
Why? You lived there in May.
Yes, ma'am. The rent was due on the 15th of every month.
Right.
I paid April's rent from April 15th to May 15th.
Right.
We notified Mr. Lane that my husband's job was transferring him. First, we notified Mr. Brown when we paid April's rent that my husband's job was transferring him to Sarasota, Florida, which is 2 hours away from where we were living. He said, just let me know the date when you're going to be moving. Told Mr. Lane called. He said, I'll tell you what. He says, you paid half of May's rent, and I will return your security deposit if you're out before June the 15th. However, when I asked for a letter stating the fact, everything changed. He sent me a 3-day notice to vacate. Then he sent me another 3-day notice from a realtor company.
So what?
A month later.
So what? A month later, you were supposed to be out. Why weren't you out in June?
Because he didn't follow his agreement either.
Why weren't you out in June?
Because our house wasn't ready that we were moving to. And
then why didn't you pay rent?
We told him we were moving, and he said that...
Just a second, I don't understand something. Just a minute. Miss Thomas, if what you're telling me is that you moved and that's why you didn't pay rent, that's fine. What you're telling me now is that you told him you were moving, but you didn't move because your house wasn't ready and you didn't pay rent. Just a second.
Okay.
Let's get to objective facts.
Okay.
Miss Thomas.
Okay.
Who is this?
This is my daughter, Heather.
All right. Is she a witness?
Yes, she is.
Fine. Then, unfortunately, she has to stay here.
That's fine.
If you live in an apartment or a house that doesn't belong to you, pursuant to a lease, if you live there, you have to pay rent.
I agree.
I don't want to hear any baloney about why you didn't pay rent.
I never said I didn't know it. I owe him for May and June.
Oh, well, that's not what you're saying here.
I have it.
Just a second. I don't see in here that that's what you say, that you owe him for May and June. Let me see. In June, we could no longer afford the premises. That's what you wrote in your answer. That's what you swore to. And also, we found out that my husband was being transferred in the latter part of July.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that have to do with May and... Stop playing with your papers. So that has nothing to do with May and June's rent.
I agree. I mean, we owe May. We owe May and June.
Let's move on. We informed the plaintiff that we would be moving, and Mr. Lane was not very happy. He said that if we paid half of May's rent, he would refund our deposit when we moved. However, the money we had given him when we moved in was enough to cover up our rent until July, so we weren't going to pay him anymore. You got a whole bunch of excuses here, and you can't seem to keep your story straight. You lived there in May, you lived there in June, you lived there in July, and you didn't pay rent. Nowhere in your answer do you say, well, I do owe him for May and June.
I've always said I owed him, even in the court document.
Would you do me a favor, please, Bird? Would you show this answer, this sworn answer that she signed to her, and ask her, maybe I missed it, you know, I don't know how I scored in reading. Show me in your answer where you say you acknowledge that you owe him for 2 months' rent.
I never acknowledged that I owed him for 2 months' rent.
Until now. Oh, fine. Fine, then we get it now. Now you owe him for 2 months' rent.
Well, I also acknowledged when we went to Brevard County Courthouse that I owed him for 2 months' rent.
Just a second. I'm not talking about any place else that you went when he tried to get you evicted. I'm talking about small claims court, which is where you are. So you forgot to put that down in your answer that you owe him for 2 months' rent.
Okay.
Is that right? You forgot.
Yes,
fine. You owe him for 2 months' rent.
Yes,
so your rent was $1,250 times 2 is $2,500. So that you owe him. That you acknowledge you owe him.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You've got to pay your bills, madam. If you don't pay your bills, bad things happen. They turn off your lights, they turn off your water, they turn off your electricity. That's what happens when you don't pay your bills.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Larry Lane says ex-tenant Kay Thomas owes for 3 months' rent. Larry says Kay is a squatter.
Now, when did you start eviction proceedings against her?
I attempted to start eviction proceedings in May.
So you already knew that this was a lost cause with these people?
I didn't believe it was a lost cause, Your Honor.
Well, then why would you choose to evict them?
I put a 3-day notice on her door precautionarily.
Sir, they owe you $2,500 for the 2 months' rent.
What about July, Your Honor?
Shh. Just a minute.
Okay.
Now, did you get first month's rent and last month's rent?
I did, Your Honor.
Just a second. Listen to me. The last month's rent would have been July. Is that right, Mr. Lane?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the security deposit?
Well, Your Honor, there was extensive damage to my home and legal fees.
How much were your legal fees?
$691.
Okay. And what kind of damage was done to the home?
Well, Your Honor, the screens on all windows were damaged. All the blinds were damaged.
Do you have any photographs?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them, please.
I also have receipts for blinds.
How did these windows get broken?
Can I see those pictures? I haven't seen them.
Sure.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have pictures also.
I'd like to see them.
Before we moved in and the day we moved out. Would you like to see those?
I would.
These are the 2 screens that he's claiming on the kitchen. That's the 31st. You can see that those are not broke. Living room blind, kitchen, and the other one that we admitted to. These are the 2 that we admitted to as far as the blinds go. The dates are on them, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, so I have broken blinds.
And can I clarify something really quick? He said that me and my husband and my daughter moved into the house. I have 2 daughters, and he met them both. He also came 2 days before he left for Bay City, Michigan. He came to my house, my last residency, unannounced, but he came.
You mean the new place?
The old place. Prior to moving to his residency, I lived in Cocoa Beach, and he came to my residency 2 days before I signed the lease with him.
Yeah.
He's talking about me moving my brother and my sister-in-law in. He met them. He knew them. He knew they were going to be staying there with us for a month or so till they found their own place.
Mr. Lane?
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant acknowledges at this juncture that she owes you 2 months' rent. I would take that and be happy.
What about the furniture she stole?
Now let's get to the furniture.
All right.
Show me pictures of the furniture.
I can't. I can only show you receipts, Your Honor, because
What furniture did you take, Miss Thomas? You indicate that you took some stuff from the house.
I didn't take anything. I sold it.
You sold it?
Yes, ma'am. I have receipts to that, where I sold it to and how much I sold it for.
Let me see.
The last 2 pages.
Miss Thomas, why would you sell property that didn't belong to you?
I sold the dining room set and the bedroom set.
Why would you sell property that didn't belong to you?
We had an agreement in the lease for me to purchase it.
You mean you purchased it? Did you purchase it?
No, we did not pay it in full. No, sir. No, ma'am.
Okay. So you had a provision in the lease if you wanted to purchase it, but you didn't purchase it, and yet you sold it.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you can't do that.
I understand that. I did it out of anger because of what he done. He tried to have my electricity cut off.
Your Honor, I have a subpoena from Florida Power and Light showing that I didn't turn her power off.
You tried.
But not only had she given him a false security number to get her power, she bounced checks on him, and that the power was turned off. And here it is, Your Honor,
Can I see it, please?
along with the subpoena.
Fine.
She also gave him a false address where she was moving to send the final bill. I corrected it for Florida Power and Light so they can collect from this deadbeat.
Shh. You owe money?
Yes, I'm paying them $75 a month. Yes, ma'am.
For money that you owe them?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you gotta pay your bills, madam. If you don't pay your bills, bad things happen. They turn off your lights, they turn off your water, they turn off your electricity. That's what happens when you don't pay your bills. Listen, you can't sell property that doesn't belong to you.
That.
You didn't pay your electric bill. That's why you're paying $75 to make up what you owe them.
Your Honor, her lights were turned off June 26th. Okay.
Not interested in that. How much is this stuff worth, sir? Dining room table with a hutch, a wicker bedroom set,
King-size bed,
king-size bed.
armoire.
How much did she agree to pay in the lease for the things that she sold?
She was going to pay $50 a month, but never consummated that.
No. Mr. Lane.
She was going to pay $50 a month and the balance on conclusion of the lease.
Okay,
The lease agreement shows
$50
that.
a month.
Paragraph 22,
times
page
12 is $600.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the balance upon the termination of the lease, what was the furniture sold for, Mr.
The
Lane?
furniture was sold for $1,250.
$1,250 in total.
Total. Yes,
is that right?
Your Honor. Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Then that's what you owe him.
I understand that. Never said I didn't owe him for it.
Yes, you did. Show her the answer. She said the stuff he left in the house was a bunch of junk.
I was referring to
just a second.
I was referring to the refrigerator.
Show me in here where
It's
you
not in that
acknowledge that you owe him money for the furniture that you sold.
It's not in there, ma'am.
Right, it's not in there.
I was referring to the refrigerator.
Mr. Lane,
yes, ma'am.
I would like you to give me whatever proof you have that the Thomas family are squatters and scammers.
Please.
So far, I would tend to agree with you.
Your Honor, I did a background investigation, and I should have done this prior to it, but my grandson was in a hospital. This shows that she was evicted. This is a background investigation from the internet that shows 6 bad checks and cable fraud.
You got anything else?
Yes, I do. She currently is in Bradenton, Florida, in a diversion program for first-time offenders for bad checks. And I I don't know about anything else, Your Honor. I just knew
Is that all
this...
correct? Are you
Other bad checks, yeah, a bad check, yes, ma'am. It was the first time offender where I wrote a bad check, yes, ma'am.
It was the first time you got caught.
No. No, it's
It was the first time you got caught.
Your Honor, this account...
I don't understand you, Miss Thomas. I don't understand why you believe. How old are you?
19.
Ma'am.
Well, you know, she's not a baby, so she can be here.
Your Honor,
Listen.
this account was written on a closed account, which she alleged somebody had given her a check.
You already gave him a bad check.
May I see that
Closed
account?
account.
May I see that account, please? Yes, ma'am. And I took care of it. As soon as he told me that it had not been paid, I went and gave him the money. Took care of it.
Okay.
Took it out of the account.
Can I see it?
So
Your
it
Honor,
wasn't
she
that
told me that the check had bounced and yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lane.
Yes,
How long
ma'am.
have you been a landlord?
This was the first time I rented a piece of property, and I must have had stupid written right across my forehead.
That's true.
I understand. Your Honor, I have one other thing I'd like to say briefly.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, there was property in my garage, and when I reported my furniture missing to the police, they said it was a civil matter. They couldn't do anything. But the property that I had in my garage was a side-by-side refrigerator, a Craftsman lawnmower, and a power edger. She disposed of that equipment. I went back down to the police department. They sent me out to her house to inspect again to see if the property was moved indoors or in the backyard. And as I tried to go in, she had me arrested for battery.
He was not arrested, Your Honor. He was never charged.
She filed charges.
I have police reports.
Did you get your refrigerator back?
No. And
you
the other
get your-
landlord,
You didn't get it back. Did you get anything back that was in the garage?
No, I didn't get anything back.
Where's
Not
the
even the
stuff?
keys to the house.
Where's the stuff? I'm not talking about the keys. Where's the stuff?
Can I explain what led up to that?
No. I just asked you where the stuff is.
It's gone.
What do you mean it's
Mr.
gone?
Brown.
It went to the refrigerator ferry. Where did it go?
We got a junk guy got it because it was no good. The gasket on it was broke. It wasn't keeping the air in. It was leaking water. He left it. He did not want it.
Just a second. When did you get rid of it?
July the 8th.
Well, if it was bothering you, why didn't you get rid of it when you first moved in instead
We
of
were
July the 8th?
we were in the process of cleaning out the house, getting everything done. We had talked to Mr. Brown. He said it was given to you, whatever. Mr. Lane didn't want it. Do whatever you wanted to do with it.
Did you say that to her?
No, ma'am. We even cleaned it out.
Of course not. Well,
Your Honor.
what you're supposed to do is,
But also-
I'm speaking.
Yes,
What you're
ma'am.
supposed to do is stop making excuses.
I'm not making excuses,
Well,
Your
you did.
Honor.
You made excuses. You made excuses to
But
me.
he's saying I destroyed his house. He inspected the house on July the 21st.
I'm not talking about the inspection of the house. I'm talking about several things. I'm talking about the rent that you owed him.
I agree.
For $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm talking about the furniture that you agreed to buy, which you didn't buy, which you sold.
Yes, ma'am.
So you owe him $1,250. I'm talking about the merchandise that was in the garage that you disposed of the same month that you moved out. The same month that you moved out. You didn't say to me, listen, he had all this junk in the garage and I was paying for the garage, so when we moved in, I got some junk guy to come over and get rid of it. You disposed of it the same month that you were moving. Ms. Thomas, you did the wrong thing. And what you're supposed to do, put that down. What you're supposed to do when you do the wrong thing, especially if you have a child here, is you're supposed to say, I did the wrong thing.
I did. I mean, I did that.
Well, you didn't admit it to me in the answer. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Next up out. Yes, this is case number 468 on the calendar in the matter of Broussard versus D'Alessandro. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Broussard, this young lady used to be your landlord.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, she embarked upon a course of conduct of harassment, filing false restraining orders against you, ultimately evicting you from the place where you had lived for some period of time. You want to be compensated for that.
Right.
And Ms. D'Alessandro said everything that she said was in her applications were true, and you were a terrible tenant. You also have a claim against her for slander. You say that when you ultimately applied to other apartments to rent, and they called her to verify your tenancy, she said bad things about you, so it made it virtually impossible for you to get another apartment.
That's correct.
Now, I gather, Mr. Broussard, that you lived in this house. It was a house?
She lived in the house up front. I lived in an apartment in the back.
And you had lived there prior to Miss D'Alessandro moving in because a relative of hers owned the house, and you were the relative's tenant.
Right.
Who was the relative?
My mother.
And what was her name?
Loretta Wallace.
When did you first move into this apartment in the back?
It was approximately 7 years ago.
Did Loretta Wallace ever bring eviction proceedings against you?
Never.
When for the first time did you file notice to quit or pay against the plaintiff?
That would have been in early October 2003.
What happened?
After I had received title to the house, or during the time the transfer was going on, I was in the process of sort of getting my ducks in the row to start making renovations on the apartment building.
What apartment building?
There's the house in the front is where I live. There's a 3-unit apartment building at the rear of the property. And
you live in one of those units?
Right.
Go ahead.
Everything was going smoothly as far as I was concerned, and I had actually started to make renovations in one of the other apartments and had told Mr. Broussard and his girlfriend, I said, look, you know, I'm going to be doing the same thing to your unit at some point very soon, and, you know, just to let them know what was going on and that I didn't forget about them.
When you were making the renovations in the other unit, where were the tenants in the other unit?
That unit was vacant, and the renovations were very extensive.
Go ahead.
So at the end of September, I was at home and I was watering the lawn, and Mr. Broussard came and knocked on my screen door and was complaining about the fact that water was getting on his girlfriend's car. And I told him, I said, you know what, just a minute, I'm on the phone, I'll be with you as soon as I can. He insisted, and he became belligerent, and I stepped outside of the kitchen because I was going to go to the back and simply turn the water off just to get him off of my back. And then he engaged in this verbal tirade in my face so close that he started to spit on me. And it was at that time, it was like, okay, you know what, that's it. You know, I had to do what I felt I needed to do in order to ensure my personal safety, because I was living on the property at the same time, and I didn't feel comfortable with him being there anymore, let alone the fact that he and his girlfriend were gonna have to move anyway, because I was gonna have to gut the unit to renovate it.
Got it?
Got it.
I didn't have any problems with them, and neither
Let me
did my
ask you this
mother.
question, sir. You want to give me your version of what happened?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
On that date in
Part
October?
of that was true. She did have the sprinklers up real high. And she was home. I went and knocked on the door. I said, Maria, you're soaking our cars. And she looked at me and she said, well, you should have moved them, and slammed the door in my face. And I was shocked. I guess I was holding the screen door, and I must have closed it too hard, and I really upset her. Next thing I know, she comes flying out the door, getting in my face. Now, she's a woman, challenging me as if she's a man. We exchanged a few words, a few unpleasantries, I won't lie about that. But I never put my hands on her, and I called myself, so you know what? Let me get away from her before she says I did something to her, before somebody sees me arguing with a woman. As I'm walking away, her boyfriend comes flying up, and I'm walking away going to my house. He comes and gets in my face, and he says, well, basically, Derek, you and Denise have to move. I said, who are you? He said, that's my girlfriend.
Would you stand up straight, please?
I said, well, this doesn't concern you. I said, I can stay here as long as I want to. You don't have anything to do with this property or this matter. I said, get out of my face. So I turned and I walked in the house. And me knowing her, the type of person she is, I knew she was going to do something treacherous, you know, by the first of the month. We decided we're going to make sure this rent is due exactly on the 1st. I don't want any funny business with her. Well, we paid our rent on the 1st. She accepted the rent. I have a canceled check. I have a receipt.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Alessandro, did you speak to an attorney before you decided that Mr. Broussard and his girlfriend were going to have to move so that you can do renovations?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
And did the attorney tell you that you can't have them move just because you decided to do renovations on their unit?
No, he did not.
He should have.
Well, and that was
He should have.
Ma'am, that was not the reason why I proceeded with the eviction proceedings against
yes,
Mr.
it was.
Broussard.
Just
No,
a
it
second.
was not.
Oh, yeah, it was.
No, it was not.
The coincidence of you renovating one apartment and then saying to me a moment ago, and he was going to have to move anyway because I was going to totally gut his apartment. Oh, no, he wasn't.
I'm sorry, ma'am,
Oh,
but that
no,
was
he
not
wasn't.
the reason why I filed for eviction against him.
That's
It was
the
not.
exact reason, because that's what the lawyer probably told you.
No, he did not
There has
tell
to
me
be a
that.
reason for you. Mr. Alessandro, I want to tell you something. You think you're smarter than I am?
I do
You
not,
are
ma'am.
not. You are not. And I've been a judge for a very long time, and things usually happen in a rhythm. And let me explain the rhythm to you that is factual. Fact is, he lived there since 1997. Fact is, between 1997 and 2003, neither you nor your mother before you had occasion to file any kind of charges against Mr. Broussard or his girlfriend. Fact. The same month, according to you, that the title passed to you in the house, you decided to get your ducks in the water and remodel the unit behind the house. And according to you, he came and got in your face on that day, and you decided you had to do something to get him out because he was going to, according to you, quote, a moment ago, he was going to have to move anyway because I was going to gut the apartment. That's what you just told me. Those are the objective facts. And what you would have me believe is that all of a sudden this man who had been a reasonable tenant for 7 years became a psychopath.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You just said to me the reason I gave him the notice to leave was because I felt unsafe. Well, what is it? Rent or unsafe? Think hard. Rent unsafe.
And later today,
I was pushed to the ground like this. I felt feet kicking my head and my neck.
And when the cops arrived, what happened, sir?
They cuffed me for drinking and being underage.
He was drunk.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Derek Broussard says former landlord Maria D'Alessandro had him falsely arrested for violating a restraining order. Derek also says after he moved out, Maria slandered him to potential landlords.
On October 1st, he gave you a check. It's dated September 30th.
Yes.
I have a receipt for it.
Yes,
Did you
ma'am.
file a notice to quit because he had not paid rent?
No, I was advised to file the 3-day as well as the 60-day based on the fact that Mr. Broussard was habitually late in paying his rent over a period of time.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is that you filed a notice for him to vacate the premises, not because he was late in October, because he wasn't late in October, because he paid you the rent on time.
Right.
But because it started to bother you that before that he hadn't paid his rent.
It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me, and it didn't bother my mother.
So what did you file a complaint for?
I filed the complaint because I felt unsafe with Mr. Broussard being there after he verbally attacked me.
Then what I'm saying to you is, you're not following me, madam. What I said was, he didn't bother anybody before, didn't bother your mother before, didn't bother you before. When he started to bother you was in October when you decided to make renovations on the apartment. Those are the objective facts.
I did not make the decision in October, ma'am. I had started the work on the unit earlier in that summer, approximately June or July.
On his unit?
No, because they were still in it. I couldn't do it. Right. But that is not the reason why I filed eviction against them at all.
I don't believe you.
I have evidence in here that shows that prior to 2003, Mr. Broussard had a record, a pattern of actually tendering checks that came back in SF.
You just told me, madam, you got to keep your story straight. I'm speaking and you're not listening. You just told me that the reason you gave him the notice to quit was not because of rent. You just said to me the reason I gave him the notice to leave was because I felt unsafe. Well, what is it? Rent or unsafe? Think hard. Rent unsafe.
The rent was not the rent was not the issue.
Okay, now the rent was not the issue. Is that I'm speaking? The rent was not the issue. Can I see your notice to leave? Do you have it?
It's in there. And here's the
Just a minute. Shh. Well, you certainly say here that the reason you gave him the notice, madam, was because of rent.
What document is that you're looking at?
Take a look.
I will say, in my defense...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Pay attention to me. What's the reason you give in the notice for him to leave?
See, the attorney's office filed this on October the 15th. They made an error, and I have a note in here that verifies that.
Give it to me.
The note?
No, give me the papers back.
The detainer.
Give me the papers back.
The attorney's office acknowledged that they filed the unlawful detainer in error.
When did you file your application for a protective order?
October the 24th.
So, October 15th, they acknowledged they made a mistake, and they withdrew that.
No, not on October the 15th. Well, they did not acknowledge that they made the mistake. I did not know that the unlawful detainer had been filed until the morning of October the 21st, and I have a copy of that paper in here.
Oh, okay.
Now, on October the 21st, when I called the attorney's office to say, what are you doing? I called you on October the 2nd to tell you that they had paid their rent in full and to remove the 3-day and maintain
So
the
you
60
told them
days.
that on the 21st of October.
That was the only time I knew that the unlawful detainer had been
Listen
filed.
to me carefully. So now we get to this objective data. The objective fact is that on the 21st, because you knew that you couldn't get them out because they had in fact paid their rent, right?
That's not...
3 days later, you filed a protection order against them. Now let me see the allegations on which you based the protective order. Let me see it.
Here's the restraining order. Is that what you asked?
I want to see the underlying allegations where she filed for a protective order. Underlying allegations. Can I see it, please? Description of the conduct. October 2nd, defendant observed plaintiff banging loudly on her back door. Garbage left in the area surrounding plaintiff's residence, and the defendant observed burning rubber in the driveway. October 3rd, he called you a name. October 17th, broken beer bottles left in front of her garage. So all of these things happened, and you filed this 3 days after you told the lawyer you better withdraw that because he paid his rent.
That's because I was hoping he was just going to leave me alone.
Madam, you are full of baloney.
No, ma'am, I am not.
I believe that the...
Felicia Hammond is suing her neighbor, 22-year-old Ashley Francis, for damage to her car. Felicia says Ashley's son, 7-year-old Derek, scratched her bumper when he crashed his bike.
Miss Hammond, how long have you and Miss Francis been neighbors?
Approximately a year.
You have children?
No.
Who do you live with?
Myself.
How many children do you have?
One. Derek.
Cute. It is your claim, Miss Hammond, that this adorable little boy fell off his bike and scratched the bumper of your car.
Yes.
You want his mother to pay for that scratch?
Yes.
Can I see the picture of the scratch?
Yes.
You're talking about this little scratch right here?
Yes.
Does it have any other scratches on it?
No, ma'am.
So, tell me what happened.
On January 1st, 2005, I was looking out of my bedroom window. Derek was riding his bicycle in the middle of the street. He ran into my car. His front wheel of his bicycle hit my passenger back wheel. And the way the bike fell, I guess the pedal of his bike must have scratched my bumper. I immediately went outside to check the damages, and that's when I noticed the scratch on my bumper. I went back in the house, contacted the police.
That's one of the things in your complaint that I didn't understand. Why did you call the police?
For a police report.
Why?
Just in case she didn't want to pay, just for my evidence.
Well, instead of going over to Miss Francis first, before you call the police, I mean, that wouldn't have been my first reaction. I mean, might have been my first reaction if a big boy came up to your car and took a rock and scratched it. I mean, that's vandalism. This wasn't vandalism, this was an accident.
It was an accident, yes.
So I don't understand your overreaction in calling the police.
Well, I wouldn't consider it an overreaction, but that was just...
well, you may not consider it an overreaction. But I'm telling you it was an overreaction.
Okay, well, that's what I did, and then after that, I went over and talked to his mother.
What did you say to her when you went over
I told her that her son was riding his bicycle. He fell off the bicycle, and his bicycle damaged my bumper.
Did you tell her you would call the police?
I told her I called the police.
What was her reaction when you told her you called the police?
She just said, okay, we'll wait till they get here, and we'll take it from there. And she told me that she would pay me for the damages.
Is that the conversation you had?
Well, first of all, he fell off his bike. He came home to me, and his leg was all scraped up, and he was crying. 2 minutes later, I got a knock on the door, and she was telling me, your son hit my car with his bike. I saw him hit my car with his bike. You will pay for it. I told her right now I'm not in a position to pay for anything. Me and my mother had talked, and she asked, did I see it happen? Did Derek remember if it happened? Derek just remembered he fell off the bike.
Derek remembered he fell off the bike and hurt himself.
Right.
Let us say, Miss Francis, that Derek fell off of his bike and scratched the bumper of her car.
Right.
That's what happened.
That's what she's saying.
I'm telling you that's what happened.
Okay. Well, there was also several kids that always play in that neighborhood.
Don't make excuses. Derek fell off of his bike. She saw him fall off the bike at the exact same moment. He came home crying that he had fallen off his bike. He scraped his leg. It all fits. I don't care how many other people were around the car or around the neighborhood or around the planet.
Okay.
He didn't mean it. It was an accident. Unfortunately, Miss Hammond was not a good neighbor.
And the way that she...
I'm telling you, Miss Hammond, you were not a good neighbor. And if you had had little children, the first call wouldn't have been to the police to file a police report.
Okay,
The first call would have been to Miss Francis to say, your little boy just fell, is he okay? That would have been the first call. He fell and he scratched my car. Do you get it?
I get it, but I didn't know that he had damaged his leg.
Yes. Just a second, of course. Well, that's the question you ask.
Well, he got
I want quiet. The question that you ask is, I saw Derek fall off his bike. Is he okay?
Well, when he fell, he got back on the bike and he rode off.
So he wasn't an extremist, which means he's okay.
He was, yeah.
As it happened, he hurt himself. Scratched leg, scratched bumper. How old are you?
7. He just turned 7 September 16th.
So he's thinking 7, okay? Your car is 10. He's 7.
Yes.
Scratched leg, scratched bumper. You got it?
Yes.
All right. You have an estimate for
Yes,
the damage?
ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it. Is that about right, Bert? $300 to fix it?
Guess so.
$376 to be exact. You have to have a perfect bumper.
But can't they just paint the scratch? Because when we
Bumpers
scratch...
aren't. I'm told that they're made out of a different material, that you can't use touch-up paint. Is that right?
That's right.
Otherwise, believe me, $9.95 she would have gotten a little touch-up paint and touch it up, but you can't do that with a bumper. I know. Somebody just did it to my bumper. Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $376. Okay.
Thank you,
Be a
Your
good
Honor.
neighbor.
Wow.
Goes much further. That's all.
21-year-old Dora Speicher and her mother, Brenda Waters, are suing the father of Dora's children, Leonard Kiwi, for a loan to get his car fixed, the return of belongings, and pain and suffering.
Who's Miss Waters? Ms. Spicer, this is your former boyfriend, and you have 2 children with him. Is that right?
Yes.
How long have you been together?
We were together a little over 5 years.
How old are you now?
21.
And how old are you?
24.
So you were 19, you were a baby.
I was 16 when we got together.
And how old are your children?
3 and 16 months.
According to your complaint, things in the relationship went south. You had gone to bartend at a party. Mr. Kiwi came to the party. He didn't like the way you were dressed. He thought you were being flirtatious. You even went so far as to wear makeup. There was an altercation, and you left.
Yes.
Him.
Yes.
Took the children, and you went to your mother's?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he refuses to return your personal property.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And that personal property, you're talking about your clothing?
Yes.
And your children's clothing?
Yes.
What else?
My daughter's TV and DVD player that my mom bought her for Christmas.
Your daughter, who's 3 years old, got a TV and a DVD player?
Yes.
Get over it. Now, Mr. Kiwi, let's deal with this one thing at a time, sir. Do you have her clothing?
No, I allowed her to come over on an agreement. On December 23rd, they agreed to me that I wouldn't call the police on them, that they could come over and...
What happened to her clothing?
She came and got it with her mother and stepfather.
What
and
about
all
the
of her
children's
stuff.
clothing?
She took some of it, but basically almost all of it, and left me with like a couple pairs of clothes that don't even fit them.
Did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I didn't get all of my clothes. I still had some clothes there, and I didn't take all the kids' clothes. There's still clothes and totes in the garage that fit the girls.
Wait, just a second. He's their father. Who bought the clothes?
He did. My mom did. His mom did. His sister did.
Well, you can't take all the clothing.
I don't want all the clothes.
You took some?
Yes.
Good. So, and some he has?
Yes.
Now, your clothing?
Yes. I have a few pairs of jeans over there, some more shirts over there.
You're talking about nonsense. You're talking about little stuff. What are you suing him for? I mean, I don't get it. You were together 5 years. We're not talking about a couple of pairs of jeans, madam.
No, but they're mine. I should be able to get them.
Well, do you have her jeans?
I found one pair of jeans that was in the dirty clothes, and that's
All right,
the only reason she
so
didn't
pack
take
it up
them.
and get it over to her.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to your mother. I can't stand to deal with nonsense. You say that you loaned him $1,000 to fix his truck.
Yes.
When?
It was September 12th.
What year? Did she give you $1,000 to fix your truck?
No, she found a gentleman who at a bar who works on vehicles, and at first I was going to sell my Explorer to him, parted it out.
Did
but then
she
he
pay
said he could-
$1,000 to have your truck fixed?
Yes, but
Okay. Now, it is your defense to that
yes.
that you had loaned her $3,000 a year before.
Well, I took out a loan for $3,000 because I was $1,000 behind on rent, so I paid $1,000 on rent, and I gave her $2,000 so their house would not be foreclosed on because they've took out like 4 mortgages on their home.
When did you give her the $2,000?
Before the Explorer was fixed.
Do you have any proof of that?
The only thing that I would have had was be like from my bank that say I paid off the loan, but unfortunately I didn't bring that because it's not paid off yet.
Okay. Tell me how it came about that you gave her the $2,000. Tell me about it.
Dora
you know, I'm a
was-
good judge of what's true
Dora
and what's
was
not.
crying and stuff, and I felt sorry for him because I thought we were family then, but I can see I guess we're not. And I was just being nice and helping
No,
him
tell
out.
me how it came about. Did she come to you and tell
No.
you she needed the money?
No, she spoke to Dora, and Dora was telling me
Dora,
about it.
look at me. When was it that your
It
mother
was-
fell... Look at me. I didn't finish the question yet. When did your mother fall behind in her mortgage payments?
It was back in 2005, and he did loan her $2,000, but it wasn't from a loan. It was with his 2005 income tax.
I don't care what it was from.
2006.
Your mother said it was 2006.
It was 2006.
So, how much money did you receive from him?
$2,000, and it was paid back in monthly payments of $500 a month, starting with the month of April and ended in the month of August.
Show me.
I gave it to Dora, and they paid their rent with it.
She gave me cash.
This was never brought up about the $2,000. This was prior. We'd borrowed the money from him, and I've only got 1 mortgage on my house. I don't have 4 mortgages.
Whatever, you have 4 mortgages, you have 1 mortgage. He loaned you $2,000. When?
It was in March.
March of what year?
2006.
And what month did she fix the truck? September of '06.
Yes.
And how much did you pay him back, according to you?
I paid him $500 a month for 4 months, starting in the month of April. It was originally agreed that we were going to start paying in May, the $500, but they were low on money at the time and stuff, so I started paying the money back in April. I paid him back $500 in April, $500 in May, $500 in June, and $500 in July.
Did she pay you back any of the money?
Not all of it.
How much did she pay you back?
I'm not sure. She'd give the money to Dora, like she'd say, and then Dora would say that she was paying us, but I didn't see any of the money.
In what month did your mother give you the first payment of $500?
Around the 3rd of April because we didn't have our rent money.
And when did she give you the second payment?
Towards the end of May because we spent it on my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
End of May. And when did she give you the third payment?
sometime in June, I don't know when, and the last payment, I guess sometime in July. I don't remember the exact date, but she paid us back, and that's why she made the agreement to fix the Explorer for us, because we were down on money then.
Tell me how it came about that you paid this $1,000 for him.
My daughter had called me. Scott also has a Ford Escort.
Just tell me, your daughter called you and what?
Their Ford Escort was broke down. Scott did not have transportation to go to work. She was upset because she didn't want him to lose his job because the Escort was broke down. I loaned him some money to help for parts on that, and then I said that I would pay for the Explorer to be fixed so that they would have 2 cars that were running, because at that time Dora was trying to find a job so she could make income also. So I loaned him the money. I have a gentleman that I work where I work.
Listen to me. You have no contract with him, your daughter.
You
know, just because they're no longer together, which is what's happened, just because they're no longer together doesn't mean that you come to court and you claim things that really aren't so. It sounds to me as if he wasn't totally a bad guy. A little controlling, perhaps. You know, you're a little controlling, Mr. Kiwi.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. He thought you were all family. He gave you $2,000 from his tax returns when you needed it. He didn't even ask to see the return of the money. You say you gave it to your daughter. She did whatever she wanted to do with it. She paid bills, she paid the rent, she did everything. She never showed it to him. And he was the only one working, right? So he was making a family. Just because they're no longer together and things aren't good anymore doesn't mean that you come to court over a pair of jeans that was in the laundry and fixing the truck so that your daughter would have a car and the boyfriend would have a car.
She never got the
now,
car.
do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have other things to do today. You have a counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, your counterclaim says that you don't see your children.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
That's for a different court, sir.
Okay.
Are you in another court about seeing your children?
Yes.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then, but it's a very big hassle because they will not take my children to the designated spot because it is not in writing. So since it's not in writing, they make me go to their house, and they know I cannot go over there because they have an ex parte. And when I go over there to see my kids, they call the police. Her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt, so I got ex partes against them as well. Her mother and stepfather.
What arrangement? Uncross your arms. What arrangements have you made for Mr. Kiwi to see his children? Don't look over there.
We have called
Look over here.
him, and my sister calls him at work because I can't speak to him. Calls him at work, tells him to meet my dad up the road at a store called Clyde's. He always makes an account. He doesn't have gas. He can't get to where it is. So my dad drives to Steve's, a gas station that's closer to him, and drops off the girls.
When was the last time you saw the children?
2 weeks ago. He's supposed to get them this weekend.
And before the last visitation, when was the last time you saw the children?
2 weekends before that.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to deal with the courts about that, Mr. Kiwi. You understand that?
Yes.
I suggest that you get whatever you need in writing, get it in writing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. This case is going to be resolved this way. I want you to go into the laundry, and I want you to get a pair of jeans that she left there, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Other than that, the case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Jennifer Richardson says her estranged mother-in-law, Sandra Richardson, refuses to hand over title on a car she bought from her. Sandra is countersuing, claiming Jennifer stole appliances from her home.
Miss Richardson, this is your soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law, and I assume that sitting in a witness chair is your soon-to-be ex-husband.
Yes.
Okay. According to you, you purchased a home for your son and his wife, and the idea was that you and your husband were going to live with them. Unfortunately, your husband became ill and passed away.
The house was originally bought for us.
Yes, the house was originally
with
bought.
our money.
No, well, sorry, Your Honor.
No, it was your money.
Well, can I just say something? If she wants to lie about
just a second.
10,000.
Just a second. Who paid the mortgage on the house?
I did. It was in my name.
I didn't ask you if it was in your name. I said who paid the mortgage.
For the first 8 months, my husband and I did. When they moved in, they shared the responsibility.
That's what I gather. The first several months, you and your husband were making the mortgage payments on the house, and then you and your husband moved in, and then you split the mortgage payments, right?
Yeah.
But the house was purchased for them, and they were there alone for a period of time. Anyway, the house is really not the issue unless we get to the counter. Don't interrupt me. House isn't really the issue until we get to the counterclaim. We're going to talk about the house in a moment. This has to do with the car that you purchased in your name, but that your daughter-in-law used. But your daughter-in-law used it to take you around from place to place, all your appointments. She sort of chauffeured you around. Anyway, there came a time when you left the house. Yes. And shortly after you leaving the house, your daughter-in-law and son split up.
Right.
Your daughter-in-law went home to her family. Where do you live now?
That's not what happened.
Where do you live now?
I live with my mother.
In what state?
In Florida.
And where do you live?
Michigan.
Okay. Did you take the car with you?
At what
Where
time?
is the car now?
My husband has it.
Okay. It is your claim that you wanted the car, and your mother-in-law said you have to pay for it. You were annoyed that she said that you had to pay for it because you always thought it was your car, but you sent her $3,000. She doesn't deny that you sent her the $3,000, but she never sent you the title to the car and never sent you the car. So you want something. You want either the car or you want your $3,000. Your mother-in-law says the $3,000 was for other bills that were outstanding. And in addition, she's counterclaiming because she says when you moved out of the house, you took her property, some appliances and things that belonged to her. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. Mrs. Richardson, since you acknowledge that your daughter-in-law sent you $3,000, what did she send you the money for?
I asked for $5,000 for the car. She sent me $3,000. They owed me like $6,000 just back rent, so I don't figure the car is paid for.
Wrong. If you asked $5,000 for the car and she sent you $3,000, you can't offset that. Get the money that they owe you from rent from your son. Get it from him, not from her.
May I speak?
When it's your turn.
Okay. She stole $20,000 worth of appliances and stuff
Listen to
from
me.
my home.
When you purchased this house, for the first 8 months, where she and your son lived there, were the appliances in the house?
There was old appliance. I purchased all brand new appliances.
And when you went home, after your husband died, when you left, in what month was that?
Around May, about the middle of May.
Of 06? And when did the two of you split up?
August.
And between May of 06 and August of 06, where were the appliances?
They were in the home when I left.
And where did you go? From Florida back to Michigan?
Michigan.
And what did you take with you when you went?
I took a clock, my big TV, left leather furniture, all the appliances, everything in the home when I left because it cost me so much to move all the stuff. So I left it for the kids.
Absolutely right. So it was a gift. So let me explain something to you, Miss Richardson. Don't get involved between your son and your daughter-in-law. The courts will determine if she took marital property because once you made a gift to them, you didn't make a gift to your son. Listen to me.
Okay.
You made a gift to them. You left it when you moved back to Michigan in May. You left it as a gift for the kids. And if they had stayed together as husband and wife, they would have had all the appliances. The problem is they split up. And then you said, well, I don't want her. She's a stranger to me now. She can't take this property. I bought it. It was a gift. Once you give a gift, you can't have sticky fingers. You can't say, well, it's a gift, but I'm going to hold on to it.
But I bought it as myself because I lived there.
I don't care. When you left it there. And you didn't abandon it along with the leather sofa. You took what you wanted. You took a grandfather clock. You took other things that were important to you. And you left the other things there for your children. Then, so it therefore became marital property.
She had no reason to steal it, though.
She didn't steal it. It was a gift.
It wasn't really a gift.
Well,
It
Miss
was 'cause I
Richardson,
lived
I'm
there.
trying to explain to you, madam, you're not getting what the law is.
Okay.
That's the law. And if your son, during the course of the divorce proceeding, says, well, she took this marital property and she had no right to take the marital property, a judge will decide that. But it's not yours. You can't sue for it. You gave it away. You gave it away to them. And as between the two of them, a court will determine whose property it was, whether she cleaned out the house or whether she didn't. But it's not yours anymore. You gave it away. Let's get to the car. When did you tell your daughter-in-law that you wanted $5,000 for the car?
Before I left the home.
So that was in May of 06. Is that what she told you in May of 06? You wanted $5,000?
Husband and I discussed it, and I told him I don't feel I owe her anything for this car. I have been a personal slave to her, driven her anywhere she's asked me to go.
Well, listen to me.
broken in
Let's
and
shh,
I'm
don't
sorry.
speak. Just because you think that doesn't make it the law. Car's titled in her name. You took her where she had to go. You also used it for yourself when you had to go to, I don't know, bowling, Pilates, hairdresser appointment, whatever. Right. You took the car yourself. So in exchange for that, you had a car. And what you did was you drove your mother-in-law around. When you weren't driving her around, you were using it yourself. So whether you thought that you were entitled to it or not, that's totally irrelevant. She said she wanted $5,000 for the car. You go back to Florida. When did you have a discussion with her and send her $3,000?
My husband and I discussed it, and I said all I can get is $3,000.
Where did you get the $3,000 from? Look at me. Don't look down there.
My mother obtained a loan.
When?
It would be late May, and I made the deposit in June 20th.
Before you and your husband separated?
Yeah.
And you gave her a check in late May for the $3,000.
Well, she was gone, so we deposited the check into her bank account, and we gave her the mortgage money as well. You'll see it's $4,000.
No. That has nothing to do with it. She already told me. She wanted $5,000. You sent her $3,000. She considered it for other bills. She can't do that. Where's the title to the car?
The original title was destroyed.
And here's what I paid for the car.
Can be destroyed?
Here, ma'am.
Lost in the mail.
What?
Lost. She took my mail for 6 months. I spent $80,000 on that house.
Who's living in it?
It's empty. I can't even sell
Just
it.
a second. Who's living in it?
Nobody's living in it.
Why isn't he living in it?
He lives here in Michigan with me now.
Oh, well.
But I just lost it.
Because if I'm down there, she makes my life miserable.
Shh, listen to me.
$80,000.
I'm not speaking to you.
Okay.
I'm not speaking to you.
Sorry.
If your mother's out some money, get a job and make sure she's whole. Miss Richardson, you cannot take her money. That money was for the car. That's what it was for. That was before they separated, so that you went back to Michigan, right, without the car.
Right.
And she got the money from her mother. This is her car. It is not your car. Don't get in between your son and his wife if they're in the process of divorcing.
So this $80,000 that she's actually I spent, I know she got money. She kept my mail. She run my cell phone up to $1,000.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You can sue her for certain things, but you can't keep this money. And if you spent $80,000, you spent $80,000 on your son, not on your daughter-in-law. You spent $80,000 on your son because, but for your son, listen, if she came to you and you didn't know her from a hole in the wall and she wasn't married to your son, you wouldn't have spent a quarter on her. You spent the money because you wanted your son to be comfortable. And if he was married to this lady, well, she's the beneficiary of that. So the house isn't in her name. The house is in your name.
I'm losing that, too. So.
Well, sell it. Meanwhile, you have to sign the title to the car over to her because the car belongs to her. You accepted the money for it?
But it's not paid for.
What do you mean it's not paid for?
$3,000 isn't $5,000.
Listen to me. You said you wanted $5,000 to them before you left. There was conversations that took place between the three of you. There's no question in my mind about that. There is also no question in my mind that you accepted the $3,000 in payment for the car because you took it and you spent it. It wasn't until 3 months later, when they separated, that you said, well, that money was for other things. No.
So she
doesn't go that way. This is her car.
Trouble.
And don't put yourself in the middle of these two people. You spent money. It's unfortunate. The marriage didn't work out. The marriage didn't work out, and it's over. And there were certain things that she took appliances from the house. I'm sure that there were certain things that your son took. What did you take from the house, sir? Stand up next to your mother and just answer my questions. Now that you moved back to Michigan, what did you take with you or sell?
Nothing. Because she emptied the house.
No, listen to me. She didn't empty the house.
Yeah.
She took the appliances, according to your mother.
Emptied it. My clothes, every personal belonging I had premarital. She emptied the house. I came back to an empty house. My mom blew $80,000.
Just a second. Did you take everything from the house?
Yes.
Everything.
Just a second. Shh. Don't speak. Did you take everything from the house?
Not every single thing, no.
Yes, she did.
Don't speak. What did you take from the house?
I took whatever I would need to have the kids having the same normal life they had before.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
One to be 12 and one to be 5.
Like my dad.
Don't speak. Don't speak. Where were you living? In Michigan?
When I moved out,
Where did you go?
I didn't have a home.
So where did you go?
I went to a friend's home.
Boyfriend.
And it's going to be over. Do you understand? It's going to be over. What state do you live in now?
Florida.
Which is where you lived as a marital couple?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why did you move back to Michigan when you have 2 children in Florida?
Because she was trying to get me put in jail. She stole everything. She come into my motel room and took my pool stick, and I'm a professional pool player.
Listen to me.
After she emptied the house, took my dad's wedding band he wore for 43 years that's worth $20. It's 10 karat gold that belongs to my mother. All 9 of my pool sticks. All my clothes, 3 different cell phones that she came to my hotel room to get in my hotel room to take the stuff, and I filed a
police report. I asked you a question, sir. The question is a simple one.
It's just all the truth.
The question is
That's why I moved.
The question is a simple one.
All right.
How do you move clear across country when you have 2 children?
Because here's a lady that's trying to put me in jail and comes to where I am when I try to ignore her to steal things I have. Excuse me.
Let us sign over the car, please. I would run away from him, too.
Really?
Sign it. The car belongs to her. It's your problem how to get it, but the car belongs to her.
She should owe me $1,000 for cell phones that she stole.
Then sue her for the cell phones.
Well, where am I going to do that at? I mean, she steals and took money, took my checks for 6 months
Fine.
and taking
Bird,
my
give
money
it
out
back
of the
to-
bank and everything.
Give the title to the car. That's what she wants. Counterclaim is dismissed. Very unfortunate situation. You got yourself in the middle of something. You have 2 grandchildren. You should never do that, madam. When you have 2 grandchildren, listen to me. You have 2 grandchildren.
I don't
you
see
have,
them either.
Excuse me?
I won't see them either. She's the one.
She wouldn't let her see her grandchildren when
Madam,
we lived together.
I'm telling you something. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. You have a son who I've only met for a short period of time. He's not wrapped too tight. But you're the grandmother. You're the grandmother. And if you have 2 grandchildren, I don't know if he's your only child or not, or if you have other children. If he's your only child, I sort of get it. So that these are your only 2 grandchildren. I would not have gotten into a situation with her where you end up in court. Just pay attention. Don't look at him with rose-colored glasses. You have to know who your children are. You have to be fair. You have to be dispassionate. She may not be perfect, but you have to know who your children are. You got it?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Elizabeth Whitaker claims former friend Danielle Kahneman stole $800 from her duffel bag. Danielle says Elizabeth spent the $800 on drugs.
Miss Whitaker, the defendant was your best friend, and it is your claim that she stole $800 out of a duffel bag. In that duffel bag was also some sort of hair straightening device, so you're suing her for the value of that. First of all, why was there cash in a duffel bag?
Because we were out all day long, so I left the cash in the duffel bag so that I didn't lose it, because $800 is a lot to have carrying around.
What was $800 doing in your duffel bag?
I had used it to get my car fixed. My boyfriend had lent it to me so I could fix my car.
When did your boyfriend give you $800 to fix your car?
He's over in Iraq right now, so he had sent me his ATM card with his PIN number, so he had let me withdraw the money from the ATM.
Why didn't you leave the money home?
Because I hadn't been home in the time that I had withdrew the money.
Oh, you said, I withdrew the money on approximately 5 separate occasions.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm asking you is, why didn't you leave the money home? The answer is not that you weren't home. You were home in between those 5 different days that you deposited the money.
No, ma'am, I was not. I was with Danielle the entire time. I had not been home once.
Over how many days did you withdraw the money?
2, the 13th and the 14th of March.
So you were keeping it in the duffel bag to fix your car?
Yes, ma'am. The duffel bag was at Danielle's house the entire time.
Why are you looking so ridiculously funny?
I'm not. I just think it's funny because it's not. None of it's true. I'm just. I just know that none of it's true, so I'm just listening to what she's saying.
Who else lives in Danielle's house?
At the time, only her sister's boyfriend.
What's your sister's boyfriend's name?
Zach.
Why was he staying with you?
It's my sister and her boyfriend's house. She moved in when they started dating. Now they're engaged.
So you were staying with them?
Yes, I was living with my sister in Spring Hill.
They weren't living with her. She moved in with her sister and her sister's boyfriend.
Correct.
On what date did you find the duffel bag missing?
The 15th, we'd had a fight. My duffel bag was still at her house. She had spent the night at my house the previous night. We had a fight, so I made her leave, and like 20 minutes after I realized, so I called her and she told me that I wasn't getting it back.
Okay, you made her leave. What did you say to her?
We just got into a fight. We were screaming at each other, and she just left, and I told her just get out.
What did you say when you called her 20 minutes later?
I just told her that because I had clothes and my hair straightener and everything, and I just told her that I needed it all back, and she told me
No, just a second. Did you say anything about cash?
No, ma'am.
You just said my duffel bag is there and I have stuff in it?
Yes.
What did you say? Tell me what
Just
you
that
said.
my duffel bag was still there and I needed it back.
And what did she say?
She told me that I wasn't going to get it back.
Why did you say that to her?
I did not say that to her
Yes,
at
you
all.
did. There's no
I
question
didn't.
in my mind you said that to
No,
her.
ma'am,
Can I
there's
say
no question
something?
in my
Not
mind
yet.
that I didn't say it. There was no phone calls. There was about 6 text messages first on the phone, and then it was followed by her calling me and threatening me.
Okay, well,
so
what did the
there,
text...
I didn't call her at all.
I didn't say you called her.
Okay.
I didn't say you called her.
No, I know.
You're not paying attention.
I just said
You're
she
not
called
paying
me.
it.
I was just letting you know she was the one that called me.
That's what she said.
Okay. I was just confirming the fact that she was right, that she did call me. Oh, my God.
Something wrong with your affect. Pay attention.
No.
Put on your listening ears. What did you say when she called you and told you about the duffel bag?
She didn't say anything about the duffel bag.
What did she call you for?
She told, when we were previously at her house, she mentioned something.
No. When you had a fight and you left.
Yeah.
Listen to me very carefully. When you had a fight and you left, she called you. That you just told me happened. What did she say when she called you?
She come back to the house that she was going to stab me. It had nothing to do about the duffel bag.
She said, come back to the house because I'm going to stab you?
Yeah. And I called, and then after her phone call, I called up her mother and let her know that she called me and said that.
This is my best friend since I was about 5 years old. I went to his house. I was crying, upset. It's about 25 minutes back to my sister's house. I didn't want to drive back there upset. I knew, you know, you just don't want to drive when you're upset. So I stopped at his house, and that was about the time she did like 6 text messages. And about 5 minutes after I got to his house, he was actually sitting there when she made that phone call. And then I called her mother, and I actually called the police. And I told them that I didn't have time to do a full report because I had to get back up to my sister's house to have her car back so she could get to work. But I told them that I was scared and that I just wanted to call in and at least let them know and give them the names. And they said, okay.
Where's her duffel bag?
Her duffel bag was still at my house. But it takes about 25 minutes there and back. So I didn't want to go all the way back up there and then come back. Told her
I just asked you a question. Where was the duffel bag?
It was still at my house.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Got to my house. My sister used her car, and I stayed there.
What did you do with the duffel bag?
It stayed there. I didn't touch the duffel bag.
How did your sister get hold of her hair straightener?
Because I lived there. About 2 days later, I moved out, and I left it there by accident. And my sister hadn't brought it back yet.
Okay.
But I don't.
How did your sister get her hair straightener? Because I read your answer.
Because I lived with her.
Well, what was she doing going into the duffel bag? Was she a thief?
Her and she let me use the straightener before we left to go to her.
The duffel bag was, the hair straightener was in the duffel bag.
No, it wasn't. It was in my bathroom plugged in because right before we left to go hang out with a few of our friends, go back towards her house, we did our hair. So it was left in my bathroom plugged in. So I turned it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now where's the duffel bag?
On my rack in my bedroom because I didn't have a closet. I had a rack with my clothes on it. So it was on the bottom rack.
So who stole her money?
There was no money in it.
Oh, yeah, she's going to show me proof that she took money out.
Oh, I bet she did take money out, but there was no cash in the duffel bag.
How do you know that?
One, because...
How do you know that? Madam, I asked you a simple question. You're giving me all kinds of mumbo-jumbo. How did you know there was no cash in the duffel bag?
Because my friend Sam called me up and said that Beth was calling her up to ask her for cocaine. I was worried about it, and that's when I called her boyfriend. But she was my best friend. If there was cash in her duffel bag, don't you think she would have said something to me when she asked me to bring back the duffel bag?
Not if you had just had a fight.
Okay, well, 3 weeks after, when she actually came and picked it up, she never said one word to my mom or anything about the cash either. I have not heard one thing about cash.
Well,
ever.
when was the first time did you hear about cash?
When I got served, when I found out about
When
this.
was the first time, Miss Whitaker, that you advised anybody that there was cash in that duffel bag?
I had told my mother, and the night that she had called my mother had questioned her about the money in the bag.
Could you stand up, please? Mrs. Whitaker?
Yes.
You spoke to the defendant?
Yes.
When?
The night they had the fight.
Tell me about the conversation.
She called me, actually, to get a number out of Beth's phone that she wanted.
What did she say to you? Tell me what she said.
That's exactly what she said. Can you get a number out of the phone for me?
Whose number was it?
I don't know. I didn't ask her.
Go ahead.
And I said to her, Danielle, what happened to the money? And she launches into this big thing that she didn't even know Beth had any money, and if Beth ever told her there was any money. And I said, Danielle, she's been with you for the last 3 or 4 days. You're the only one she's been with. I didn't take her to the bank, so you must have.
What did she say?
She said, well, the only thing I can think of is that I stopped at the grocery store and Beth wanted to wait in the car, and that's when she must have done it. And I said, Danielle, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And she says, well, you know, Beth hasn't been making any sense lately. She's been acting really crazy, and that's what people on drugs do. And she goes on to tell me that we can get her help and that we can get her into rehab. And I said, Danielle, what happened to the money? And Danielle said to me, well, the drug dealer must have it. And I said, well, you must have taken her to the drug dealer because I know I didn't. And then she said, well, I don't know how she got to the drug dealer. And then she says to me that she contacted Beth's boyfriend, Richard. She said that she and Richard had been friends for a long time and she wasn't going to let this come between her, you know, affect her and Richard's friendship. And she said that she called Richard and set up a 3-way conversation, and Beth didn't know that Richard was on the other line. And she said that she confronted Beth about spending the money on drugs, and she said that she just couldn't believe that Beth had spent $800 of Richard's money on drugs. And I said to her, Danielle, how did you know it was $800? And she said, because Richard told me. And I said, Danielle, Richard's in Iraq. He doesn't have a cell phone. You couldn't have called him. Then she said that her mother was trying to call her and she would call me back, and needless to say, I never heard from her again.
You still have the boyfriend in Iraq?
Yes, ma'am.
You have something you want to say to me?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when she had called, I was there for the conversation, when they had the argument, she came to my house crying, that she was like, I could hear her over the line. She was screaming very loudly at her, like, you know, threatening her. It's like, you need to come back to the house so I can kick you. You know, I'm going to stab you, da, da, da. You know, she came to my house in a wreck. I mean, I couldn't believe, like, what she could probably have said to her to, like, you know,
I can't believe it either. Now you can sit down. Thank you very much. Did you have that conversation with Mrs. Whitaker?
Some of it, yes. I don't know what I didn't say to her, but I know what I did say to her. She didn't ask me about an actual amount of money. What she asked was, she told me she found some ATM.
So you knew about them, just a second. So you knew about the money, the missing money, listen to me. So you knew about the missing money the same day as it was missing?
I knew that she said she found withdrawal receipts. So I didn't know anything about the duffel bag, cash being in the duffel bag. She just told me she found withdrawal receipts and said that Beth spent some money. I had no idea there would be money at my house. There couldn't have been money at my house because there was no conversation about that until obviously now.
No,
Her mom
there
told
was
me
a
that
conversation about it with her mother the same day that it happened. And usually, yes, it had to do with that money.
Not with my house, though. She called me up and said that she found withdrawal receipts and she wanted to know if I knew anything about it. I told her no, that I never brought her to the bank, and that's all that I knew.
And you didn't discuss with her a three-way conversation?
No, I don't have her boyfriend's cell phone number.
All I'm asking you is, you didn't discuss a three-way conversation with her?
No.
No, I don't believe you. Okay, how's that?
Elizabeth Whitaker claims former friend Danielle Kahneman stole $800 from her duffel bag. Danielle says Elizabeth spent the $800 on drugs.
Okay, I'm very, very reluctant on circumstantial type evidence when other people have access to property to make a judgment that somebody took property. I'm reluctant to do that because to label somebody a thief, as far as I'm concerned, is a very serious thing. There is no question in my mind that you either took it or know who took the money out of her duffel bag. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Victoria Klaus says former tenant Kelly Stafford moved out owing for rent. Victoria also claims Kelly vandalized the home.
Miss Klaus, you own a rental property, and the defendant was a tenant of yours for, according to your complaint, about 5 years.
Yes, she was a former friend first and then tenant.
But she was a paying tenant for 5 years. What was the rent on the house?
$630 a month.
Nope.
No.
What was the rent?
It started out at $590, and then it went up halfway through the 5 years to $620.
Well, that's not much of an increase over the course of 5 years. It is your claim that when she left, she owed you some rent, and also that when you went there after she moved out, the place was a disaster.
Yes.
Costing thousands of dollars in renovations.
Yep.
Ms. Stafford says that she left in mid-April of this past year. She, in fact, gave you rent for half the month of April in cash, and that she left the house in fine condition. She doesn't know what happened, but certainly she left the house in fine condition. When did you pay your rent, Miss Stafford? At the beginning of each month?
Yeah, that's not true.
Just a second. Don't interrupt when I'm asking her questions. And you paid, according to you, in the last part of the tenancy, $620 a month.
Yes.
How much money did you give Miss Klaus for April?
$310.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay.
You have to pay for a month's rent. If you choose to move out in the middle of the month, that's your prerogative. But you can't pay for a certain number of days unless you have a previous agreement to do that.
And we did. We talked at the end of March. I told her that I would be moving on the 15th, and she said, "You're kind of leaving me in a jam. That's not fair."
She's absolutely right.
Right. And I told her, and I said, you know,
she's
but there's nothing
right.
I can do. I said I can do
Shut
it.
speaking. Don't speak over me. You told her at the end of March you were going to be moving out April 15th, so you gave her no notice.
There was no lease.
But you gave her no notice after 5. Okay. So let us say I believe you that you gave her $300 in cash. Did she give you $300 in cash?
Yep.
Then you owe her $320.
I gave her $310.
Okay, then you owe her $310.
Already.
Because you can't dictate to her that you're going to be moving out at the middle of the month and you only owe half a month's rent. You owe the entire month's rent.
Okay, because she told me that she agreed to that. That would be fine.
I don't believe that at all. I didn't even have to ask her.
Okay.
Once she says you're leaving me in a lurch by giving me no notice at the end of March, she's not going to say, well, I'm going to be real nice to you. You only have to pay me for half a month.
Okay.
Try to play it straight with me, Miss Stafford. I'll be much more amenable to listening to what you have to say about the destruction of the house if you don't fib at the very beginning.
I'm not fibbing.
Yeah, sure you are. Because something doesn't make sense, it's not true.
Okay.
And if you call a landlord where you've been a rent-paying customer for 5 years and you say, I'm not giving you any notice, I'm not giving you 30 days notice, I'm not giving you 60 days notice, I'm moving out in 2 weeks. And the landlord says to you, gee, that's really not nice of you after all this time. I've been very good to you, I've given you minimal rent increases over the course of the 5 years. You know, you could have at least given me an extra 30 days notice. You're not giving me any notice. And then she's going to turn around and say to you, and you only have to pay me $310. Ridiculous.
Your Honor, she came to me in the beginning of March and told me that she would be selling the house. That's when I started looking for a place to live because I didn't want to be left out without a place to live.
Listen to what you're saying to me. She gave you notice the beginning of March, that she will be selling the house. Not that she sold it and you have to be out in 2 weeks. So start to prepare yourself.
Absolutely, and I did. And I asked her how long it takes to sell a house. She said, I will be doing it through a paper where he would be paying my mortgage, and then at the end, I will just sign the house over to him. It wasn't going to be through a whole real estate or nothing like that.
Did she give you an answer about how long it would take?
No, she did not.
Ah, okay. All right, so now we have $310 that she owes for the month of April. Now, what date did you move out, Miss Stafford?
The 15th.
4/15. And you say you left the house in good condition?
I did.
Okay. When did you go to the house?
I went there on Tuesday, the 19th.
You moved out on the 15th. On the 19th, tell me what you saw.
Well, first, can I just step back 2 days? On April 14th at 7:30, we still had not received any rent at all from them. I sent my husband over there at 7:30 at night. She opened up the door to him. He asked her for the rent. She said his exact words were, I'm not sure if I'm paying you. I'll have to wait and talk to my husband because she's mad over whatever rumors she heard, and shut the door in his face. I went there the next day on Saturday to ask for the rent because she said she would only deal with me, not my husband. I went there. And that is when we got into the discussion of why she said she was upset about some rumors that she had heard at a diner that I was working at, and that's why she wouldn't pay me. And I said to her, I said, you can't just get mad at me over rumors, and I'm not going to get into any of that. This is between me and you. The diner is completely separate. I said, I'm not telling you you have to move right away. You know, it's going to be 3 months. By the end of this conversation, it lasted almost 2 hours.
You were in the house?
No, she came outside. She was very, very angry, and I could tell she did not want me inside. But by the end of this conversation, she promised me, she looked me face to face and promised me she would give me 30 days notice and that she would give me the full month's rent. And I never heard from her again until I knew the property was empty. When the property was empty and the cops were there is when I said to her...
What date was that?
The cops were there on the 4/18.
On the 18th?
Yep.
And Miss Stafford was there?
She wasn't there at first when they got there. I was there. I had noticed the damage, all the disgusting stuff that was done inside the house.
So you were actually inside the house on the 18th, not the 19th?
Right. I was inside the house on the 18th. That's what the police report is for.
Okay.
And I went in and I saw all the damage, and first thing I did was call the cops for a police report because the place was...
Can I see it?
...completely trashed. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Okay, so she did, in fact, pay the $310,
right,
because that's what she told the police they would do, and she also agreed to clean up the mess,
right,
according to the police. Okay, did she clean up the mess?
No, she didn't. She had told me that she would come the next day on Wednesday. She got out of work at, I believe it was 5 or 6. She said she would come over then and help me herself clean it. I said, okay, I'll be over here cleaning anyway. Go ahead and come over. Well, she never came, never showed. I didn't go home till I think like 6:30. She called me and said that she wouldn't be able to come because she had car trouble. I said, okay, you know what, if you want to call me another day, I'll gladly go back over there with you. I don't want anybody there now while I'm not there because of what's already been done. I don't trust anyone else there. But I will go back over there with you whenever you want to clean. And I have not heard from her since to do it.
Do you have photographs of what
Yes,
the
I
place
do.
looked
I have
like?
photographs, I have estimates, I have a video.
First, let's take a look at the photographs.
Would you like the video too?
In a minute. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
It's funny.
I'm not finding any of it funny.
Go ahead.
All these attic pictures and all these basement pictures. Yes, maybe some of these are stuff that was left from behind.
I'm talking about the refrigerator, the garbage.
No, we put the garbage out. A lot of this stuff came from the attic that her brother destroyed, and it was from a ton of stuff was left up in the attic that I couldn't even use.
I'm not talking about the attic. Let's
Okay.
not talk
Well,
about the
that's
attic. Let's talk
pictures
about
of
the
this.
kitchen. Let's talk about the
Okay.
stove.
The stove wasn't hers, and it was broken. She knew it was broken.
What about the garbage?
The garbage is not all mine.
Whose is it?
Which came from the upstairs in the basement that she packed
to me.
up. Are you kidding me?
You said...
Shh. Refrigerator in the freezer?
No. No.
Food in the refrigerator in the freezer was yours?
Yeah.
The dirty stove inside was
There was
you?
a fi-
Shh, listen to me. The
Mhm.
stove was used by you for 5 years?
No, it was broken.
So you didn't have a stove for 5 years?
No, not the oven part. The top of it worked, yes. There was a fire
You have-
at the bottom of it.
When you say that somebody else's stuff was in the basement, whose stuff was in the basement?
Her brother had lived there previously before I did. There was stuff in the basement from him, all of his
That
leftover
you left
stuff.
there,
and
just a
his-
second, that you left there for 5 years?
She brought a dumpster over there, and we did clean out. I helped her personally clean out a ton of it, but yes, there was still some left in there.
And so what you're telling me is this mess down here was her brother's stuff that had been there for 5 years?
Absolutely.
Okay, can I see the video, please?
The water on the basement floor is from our washing machine being moved. That I can admit to.
And that's not
But-
true either. Your Honor, that is where there was a carpet, and it was so badly contaminated with urine from cat smell that I had to replace it, and egg yolk that someone egged and candle waxed the inside of the entire house, up and down all the walls. That stove that was not the same stove that was in there. I've gotten her 2 stoves since then and 2 refrigerators. That one she chose to have because her father gave her. That's a busted out window in the kitchen, busted out one in the back door, which she said her son put his hand through when he was running through the house.
No, I said my son accidentally bumped into when he
Well,
was
your
running
son
into
did
the house.
whatever he did.
He accidentally hit it, and I told you that 3 years ago, and you said you would fix it.
Why didn't you fix it?
She told me she would do it.
And why didn't you fix it?
That's exactly why I didn't, because she told me it was her son.
I'm asking a question. So if your son did it, so why didn't you fix it?
This is graffiti that is written all over the garage by her husband and his band, complaining about neighbors because the cops were called several times due to complaints.
Well, you
of
don't know who
noise.
wrote it.
Well, it's got their names on it.
We didn't do that, Your Honor.
Do you think she did it to her own property?
No, I don't believe that she did it to her own property. And she also told me that she didn't believe that I did it either. And she told me that I was the last one there, so I was the one that she was going to blame because I had no proof that it was anybody else. So I took pictures. There was broken windows as well, pictures of the house that she promised to put siding and to paint. I've lived there for 5 years, and she's done nothing.
We're not talking about whether you chose to stay at a place that didn't have new siding for $600
Exactly.
a month. Listen to me quietly. Is what you're saying that the destruction to the house was between the time you moved your things out and the couple of days and she saw it?
Yes.
Well, how do you think somebody got in there?
I believe through the broken window.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You do. That's your responsibility. You should have fixed the broken window.
No, just not that window. The window on the side. Not the one from the door. The window on the side of the house. That I can...
Is what you're telling me, madam, that you lived there for 5 years and nobody vandalized the house, but in 2 days after you moved out, after you moved out, somebody chose those 2 days to come in and do all those things to the house? Is that what you're suggesting to me?
I am. And my mom was there to clean on Easter Sunday, and she cleaned the whole place with my husband. She did all the cleaning. And when I went in there on Tuesday...
She didn't do a good job.
Well, I went in there on Tuesday and...
You didn't do a good job of cleaning.
I didn't do a perfect job, Your Honor, but the garbage was out, the eggs were not there, the other things that Vicki is claiming, such as, excuse me, I'll stand, such as the ceiling fan being broken and everything else, that was not there at the time. Maybe I didn't do a perfect job cleaning. It's not my responsibility to clean up after my daughter. I keep my own place clean. But the destruction itself was not there. Some of the more destructive things were not there, okay? That's all I can say.
Maybe she didn't do it. Maybe her did it. I don't know who did it.
I don't either.
But it was done during her tenancy because she was there during the month of April. During the month of April, she is responsible for the house. She was responsible for paying rent for starting April 1st in the amount of $620, and she was responsible to see to it that the house was kept in a reasonable state. Now, who is this person over here?
This is the neighbor that lives across the street from where Kelly resided. When I went in and I saw how much damage was done, I was very distraught. I came out, I was on my cell phone. I called the cops, was back and forth. She was on her way out to work at the same time. She used to live there when I lived there. And she came over and she said to me, Vicki, what's going on?
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Jacqueline Bergen.
Miss Bergen, what do you know about the condition of the house on or about the 15th to the 18th of April?
Well, over the weekend of the 15th, Kelly and her husband and them did move out of the home. On Tuesday, it was probably approximately about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was backing out of my driveway.
Tuesday is what date?
April 17th, I believe it is.
Okay.
And I was backing out of my driveway, and I had seen Vicki over there in the driveway. She was walking up and down the driveway. She had her cell phone. And I had gone over and I said, hey, Vic, I see your tenants had moved out over the weekend. So Vicki had asked me, she goes, did you see the damage to the house? I says, no. She goes, will you come in with me? I said, sure. And I walked through the whole house with her. She used to have a stepdaughter that lived there. And her...
Who?
Kelly. And my daughter and her daughter used to hang out. Her daughter's name was Brianna. And a lot of that stuff in that attic belonged to Brianna. We found shoes that had Brianna's name written down the side of them. School papers. There was pictures in the attic of Kelly and Chuck. There was CDs from the band that her husband had upstairs in the attic.
And this was on the 17th?
On the 17th. And I'm the one that went through and took pictures with Vicki. And then on the back porch, which there is a picture of, she says all the garbage was removed. It might have been removed out of the house, but it was put onto the back porch and left there. There's empty Budweiser boxes. There's bags of trash. And then on Wednesday, Me and another girl and Vicky were all over there cleaning, and then that's when Alta came over too and started in with the cleaning. And she said that Kelly would be back that night to help us. And Kelly has not been over there since.
Okay, thank you.
Judge Judy,